thing the other day.
All right, good evening, everybody at 10 Hut. Hey, Mike, what's going on here? We got the big Mike Marino in the house.
How are you, Rob?
Good. How's everything?
Everything's good.
Good. I was gonna introduce you as the undisputed heavyweight champion of the chat, Mike Marino.
So no heavyweight anymore.
All you chat warriors, be careful. We got Mike. Mike is in the house, so. We got some crazy stuff going on, Mike. I don't know what's going on with the NYPD. Well, what's your overall thoughts of all this craziness?
I honestly, I think that all starts from the top, Rob. The atmosphere that's been set in that clown show that was the previous administration. Listen, if it's allowed, it's allowed. There seems to be a whole disappearance of any kind of professionalism and decorum and self-pride. This is like a shit show. That's what it seems like. So,
yeah, it's craziness that you think that stuff can go awry, but like you said, you look at the previous administration and right from the top, chief of department, even the police commissioner at that time. There was just chaos and confusion, and it also stemmed from the mayor, right? So the mayor appointed all these people. Brings these people in as commissioner, appoints chiefs of departments, so helps them get their position because they're friends.
Yeah.
And I know you think about Pearson, right? You think about all the other ones that has had previous incidences and types of sexual allegations, and it just kind of, like you said, it rolled downhill. So
yeah, well, look, I knew the mayor when we were in Brooklyn North. Mm-hmm. Ronnie and myself, he was in the 880. He was a lieutenant, and he was not much then, to quite honestly, to tell you the truth. And listen, he never changed. What are you going to do? I'm sorry about that. That being said, I think that I was on this morning, listening to Eric and John and Marlon a little bit. And then I had to get off. And when I jumped back on, they were gone, but I caught up with some of it. And they were talking about some of this. The big fear of this, it's tough because, how much of it is true, how much isn't true, and how do you know? So.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. He never left the building. But before he was at midnight, he was 4 to 12 and animal. But it's dangerous because as a boss, you shouldn't, you shouldn't do anything wrong. You should try not to get involved with a subordinate. You got to keep a certain kind of decorum and standing. But what if you didn't? It's pretty easy to make a, false claim. And I'm not saying anybody is or isn't. You don't know. I mean, they all have to be investigated. Right. But now you had the guy in the 4-6, right? He gets arrested.
Yeah, Jeremy Shubin.
Right, Shubin. And now the other guy, Moran, I believe, right?
Juan Moran.
Moran. Now, apparently, I guess he put his papers in. Can't blame him.
No.
You think you're going to get done, you got to protect your pension. But there was, all of a sudden, there's 3 girls now making a complaint against him.
Against Moran, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you just don't know where the truth is. It's dangerous either way. As a boss, you had to be very careful. I wouldn't speak to anyone alone in my office. I
No,
wouldn't.
no,
I wouldn't.
no.
I wouldn't. So, you're afraid anybody could say anything. And even if you never did, speak to anyone alone, what's to stop somebody from saying he did it anyway? He or she
Yeah.
did it, right? Because the same thing with the girls. Listen, I had a female chief when I was a lieutenant. Actually, I don't know if she thought she was being one of the guys, but she kind of touched me a little bit inappropriately. I was like, holy Christ. Like, I said, if this was reversed, I'd be in trouble right now. You know. All right, I gave her $5 afterwards.
There you go. That's worth it.
There you go.
You buy her a beer.
I don't know, but I just think that there was such a breakdown in, I don't know, in general discipline and self-respect, and it started way at the top.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of the worst we were around a long time, Rob. That was one of the worst administrations I ever saw. That was one big clown show from start to finish between, where's my crumbs, who's getting paid, who had a company and they got a contract, but they're not part of the company anymore, but their girlfriend may be the owner of the company, and it just went on and on. It's like, holy shit. With all the overtime that's been stolen, and nobody gets in trouble.
No.
This is like watching
No.
the federal government. Yeah, you lied. Okay, yeah, but okay, don't worry about it. Nobody's going to get in trouble.
Yeah. You know what? It's like with Shubin, right? I look at it like, well, I mean, obviously, there's two ways to look at it. One, the incident happened, and he did whatever the allegations of his, sexual abuse or attempted rape are founded, or the victim, the alleged victim at this time, claimed that it was false allegations to make money on it, right? Because we know that there's a payout. Does she care if he's criminally charged? Usually, it's more of a monetarily reward for them, pain and suffering, etc. So, yeah, it's hard for me to fathom that, and it could happen. I mean, he's an inspector. He's been on the job for a while, well over 20 years. He understands everything, and then to bring somebody into your office and if you close the door and do something inappropriate, that there's not gonna be repercussions for it, especially if you already know that there's gonna be pushback from this female or whatever. So, and first of all, like you've said, nothing should be done on the job anyway. If you're looking to date somebody, if you're looking to do anything, it should be done off the job, right? Nothing should be done on the job.
Well,
So the fact that what I don't understand is the two things. One is the attempted rape. So to me, an attempted rape, does that mean that he exposed himself and pushed himself on her, or was he just groping her? It was the actual charge of attempted rape appropriate, or was it just the sexual abuse? I mean, did he actually try to rape her? And if you look it up, right, in New York, and I think in other places in the country, you don't need any corroborating evidence. If the witness is reliable, you can use that testimony alone to convict somebody. So I'm just curious. I mean, we don't have the information relative to the attempted rape charge, but I wonder why it was an attempted rape. Where that, not just a statement to say that I want to have interracial babies with somebody, that doesn't lead to attempted rape. And so that on its merit is that.
Well,
and think about it, in the Bronx, Bronx, they love to arrest cops. I mean, I did most of my career in the Bronx.
yeah.
And they love, it's a feather in their cap for the Bronx DA to arrest somebody. So and the grand jury, you're going to tell me that a Bronx grand jury isn't going to listen to that victim and say, absolutely, let's give a true bill?
Let's look at that a second. All the grand jury has to do is decide if there's enough evidence to go forward on a felony charge. It's not any indication of guilt or innocence.
No.
Is there enough here that we could take this to trial? And of course, the DA, reads them all of that before they convene. And like you just said, you can indict a ham sandwich. I guess, listen, and anything we say here, everybody's got to understand something. We don't know. So we're not saying guilt or innocence on either side. These are just all possibilities. So please don't anyone think that we're saying he did or she lied or he lied. We're not. We don't know. And you have to look at all ends of it because we've all been on both sides of this. I guess attempted rape, kind of like attempted assault. How do you have an attempted assault? But I guess attempted rape, like if say you grab a girl and you start ripping her clothes off and you tell her, I'm going to do this and that, and you're very explicit in what you're going to do.
Right.
And that includes some type of penetration, I guess, then they might say attempted rape because you came out of your own mouth. You said you were going to do it, and you're trying to.
But isn't that like a verbal threat? I mean, so if
not if you're
if
actually trying to, if you're holding it down.
right, if you're holding it down,
Right,
okay, right.
right. So that's what I'm saying. Now, I knew a case, and I'm not going to do names, but actually the person wound up working with me later on, and he was very, very well thought of person. He was a rank of captain or above, and he was accused of exposing himself and this and that in his office to the girl, and he really got railed. He wound up leaving the job. And when I spoke to him, because he came in and worked for me in one capacity or another at that point, and I said, what happened? He said, look, this was consensual, is what he told me. I don't know.
Right.
But this was, and he seemed like a pretty sincere guy. He said, was consensual. We were having this thing. Was it right? No. But then it wasn't against the rules yet for abortion. These are some of the things that made that rule come to pass. He goes, and what happened was somebody outside overheard through the door of the office what was going on. And when she went out and got called on it, she got embarrassed and said, well, no, he did this to, and it went from there. So I don't know. He seemed very credible. I never spoke to her, so I can't say outside the story. Do I know it happens to people? Are they taken advantage of by people of rank? I do. I've seen it, and it's horrible because it's hurtful to the people it happens to. Are there people that want to get together with a ranking officer because they think it can further their career? Absolutely, I've seen that too.
Right.
I've seen that too. So
yeah. No, I mean it does. It happens. I mean, I've never heard of anything so outrageous as an attempted rape before, though. I've heard of sexual misconduct, where inappropriate touching,
forcible touching,
touching, things like that. But I mean, to me, an attempted rape is obviously very serious.
I think you'd have to be pretty much out of control, like I said, right? And you're trying to incapacitate the person, your victim, be it a boy, girl, otherwise who victim perps. And as you're doing it, you're saying, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and you're really trying to do it. Where now you're expressing what actions you're gonna do. And I guess if during that course of that you're saying, and you describe you're either going to penetrate them or I guess that might be attempted rape because you're saying it. And if you hurt them, what seems to be a little bit scary now, right? All of a sudden now the dam has burst, and all these people coming forward. Again, anything we say, we're not saying guilt or innocence on anybody. We're not making any judgments, but it seems to me, us being adults, right? If somebody was doing something to you that you really hated, I work for you, Rob, and you're my boss, and I'm working, and I love my job, and Mike, if you do this, or you either do this or this, or I'm going to get rid of you. And if I know it's not right, you know what? I got to go. Then transfer me. What's the big deal? You're not going to. You can't fire me. So transfer me. All right. Yep. Or I ask to be transferred. I'm like, listen, I can't do this. You got to send me somewhere else. Well, this has been going on. Now you got all these people piling on. I think Tabitha just typed something that there's another captain making threat, and there's like a whole cast of characters now. They all seem to be represented by the same person.
Right.
And are we fishing for this? Did people see a payday? Did it really happen? And they were like a little hesitant to come forward, because I did know another girl, very good girl, very competent girl. I thought the world of her, and inappropriate comments were being made by somebody that outranked me, and it was uncomfortable to me.
Yeah, no,
And this girl happened to be a wife and a mom and everything else. And I said, listen, you can't let this go on. We got to call. We got to call. This is nonsense. And the answer was, listen, it's okay. I'm a big girl. I can take it. I don't want to be one of those females. So
yeah,
she didn't want to be lumped in with the people that make complaints. And she was a tough person. Listen, I think if those two got in a fist fight, my money may have been on her. She knew how to handle herself. She was a good person. But she just didn't want to. You know, she was very happy where she was, other than some comments, which were really inappropriate and disgusting. There wasn't any touching or any, I want to take you out or anything like that. So I guess she felt, hey, I can deal with comments. We all do, Rob. I mean,
yeah.
how many times was I called a guinea and stupid, you know how it flew around, and we all kind of just sucked it up and took it in the nature that it was given. But nobody put their hands on me.
No.
And nobody threatened my job if I didn't do something that was wrong. I never had that happen to me, so I can't say.
Yeah.
I do think that people hide behind the mantle of being a victim to save their own ass. I'm thinking of one in particular.
It could be, right, yeah.
I'm thinking of one in particular where I'm sorry, but I don't see that person as being a victim. I think they're a willing participant until the hammer fell and, oh shit, I might get in trouble. Now I'm a victim. But for years you weren't. And for years you benefited from it. What the hell's going on here? Let me get rid of this. Hold on, I lost you. Where'd I go? Hold on.
You're still there. I got you.
I don't have you because somebody's trying to call in and hold on, there I go.
Oh, all
that's
right.
not it. Yeah, that's what happens. Somebody tries to call in and I lose it.
Oh,
I don't know where the hell it went. Let me see if I can find it.
who, Nolan? Nolan's trying to call you?
No, Nolan's not trying to call me.
But you know what, Mike? Let's bring up the New York Post article, right? Because
I'm trying to find you first. Hold on a minute.
Oh, all right.
Damn it. This is pissing me off.
Because here, you see it here, right? So Shubin's attorney, who I got, Oliver Storch, says that the claims are baseless and malice. And before the alleged incident 18 months ago, right? So it literally happened a long time ago. The complainant, she bragged to a fellow female officer that she would set up a boss by falsely claiming sexual assault to obtain money through a lawsuit, and made good on said malicious threat. So this is from the actual attorney. What he's saying is that the attorney saying that they already have information that she tried to put this complaint on him to get money. Now that could be false, but sometimes that happens, right? We've known that to happen. So the NYPD inspector who led the police Bronx precinct is accused in a civil lawsuit of sexually assaulting a subordinate. So there's also we also know that. So according to that, there's also a civil lawsuit, right? So
yeah.
So civil means monetarily that she wants money and stuff. So does a criminal case help a civil suit? Yeah, absolutely. You get convicted of or you plead guilty to something of one of those 6 or 7 crimes in a criminal procedure. Almost gives some information for the civil lawsuit. So, and apparently the internal investigation by IEB came up this, but. Let's just to keep in mind though, this is all like breaking news, right? So it was all like came up, but the fact that he was fired, right, or terminated, was not because of the rape allegation. I've been told that he was fired because he refused to answer questions under the GO 15, which is General Order 15.
Yeah, you have a choice. You can. If you go to retire, from the way I understand this, and Ron was kind enough to send me the whole thing, and I actually never got to read it today, but we spoke about it a little bit last night. So, I could go down tomorrow. All right, so somebody's accused of this, and they have over their 20, so their pension's locked. And I go to the pension section, and I say, you got to give you 30 days. I got 30 days.
You're right.
Now, within 30 days, if they can't convict you, which they can't, unless you plead to it, you're going to get your pension without the permission of the police commissioner. So you don't get your good guy letter. That's about it. But you got your pension.
Right.
So if you refuse to wait, they want you to waive those 30 days. They want you, in other words, to give them an opportunity to come after you. Now, I wouldn't do that, because what if they do find you guilty of a felony? You lose your pension. So, of course, you can say, I'm not waiving that. Okay, you're fired. So
Right.
technically he's fired, but he's got his pension. All right? But let's clear
The only
something
thing he's missing is the good guy letter. That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Right?
So what? So then you move to a state like I did, to Florida, and I want a gun. Everybody gets a gun.
Yeah.
So I don't
You don't
need
even
good
need a
guy.
license where you are.
No, you should have it because of reciprocity, but that's a whole. It only costs $90 for 7 years. Why wouldn't you get it anyway? But that's a whole nother issue. But you know, if the good guy letter means that much to you, that you're going to gamble. You're going to gamble 30 years of your life. Go ahead. I mean, I know it does to us because it's our pride, our gun, our shield, and I really do understand that. But when you drill down on it, I could lose my pension. I don't care about a good guy letter, because the only thing, you lose your pension after 35, 40 years, the only thing you need a gun for is to put one in your head, because your whole life is gone.
Right.
And you got nothing left. We need to clear something up, though, because you have other podcasts and stuff talking about this corruption, about, you know, people dating each other in precincts. And you know, two cops dating each other it's not even against the rules. Forget about corruption. It's not corruption, and it's not against the rules. You can have two police officers dating each other. Now, I came across that in my commands, and you'd call them in and say, listen, this really isn't a good idea. It's nothing illegal to it. It's not a good idea. So they usually won't do a GO-15 when someone's facing criminal charges.
No, you know, and Joe Cortez, thank you for that, because you know what? I think it was coming up on the 18 months. Even though when a criminal incident happens, it suspends that 18 months. So yeah, I don't know. Did they force his hand? No, you can GO-15 them with the permission. Usually, you don't need the permission, but it's usually something you want to ask the DA that's going to do criminal charges. So. You know what? They might have brought him in for something else, or even if they brought him in for that, they can still bring him in.
Is it
but,
but is it beyond the pale? I know that normally if legally they're doing criminal investigation, they'll ask us as a courtesy not to do GO-15 because it could interfere with their investigation. Right.
Right.
But what if you're one of the boys? Now this could happen. I'm not saying it does, but what if you're one of the chosen few? They GO-15 you, thereby derailing the criminal investigation, and it goes nowhere in the department.
It could be.
That could happen.
Absolutely. You know what? You're like Eric often talks about, you know, that tier one. So he's in that tier one, right? And he could IAB. We know how IAB is for the most part. If IAB Group 1 wants you, they're going to go after you if somebody tells you that. But for the most part, IAB Group 1, in my opinion, protects the upper echelons of the department.
Not my case.
No, I understand. Well, if they want to go after you, they will. If there's something there where somebody has a vendetta against you, they're going to use them. But for the most part, you kind of always see, and you know, they'll allude to the white shirt immunity, and I've seen it myself. It's true. It exists. I mean, you know what?
I'm not
maybe
sure
not for you, but
no, I don't. I lost more days as a chief than I did in any other rank, but I tried them a couple of times too. But I think immunity exists. I don't know necessarily it has to do with rank. I think it's who you're aligned with. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how they look at it.
Yeah.
So okay, Rob, you're a man of integrity. I would imagine that if you were an IEB and I got accused of something, I don't see you pushing me under the rug. I see you saying, Michael, we're going to have to look at this, and whatever chips lay, they lay. And that's the way it should be. You could love somebody, but if you let somebody get off, let's take the federal government, right? You get all these people that get in court doing this, Jack Smith, emails this, lying to Congress, and we got them now. That's it. Everybody gets exposed. But nothing happens.
Right.
There's no price made to be paid, so it's going to happen again. Why not? Why not roll the dice? So if you're if you're these people that are getting in trouble, and look, listen, these things that they're being accused of, number one, some of those people have been doing this their whole career, and I know that for a fact. The things they're being accused of. This is nothing new. What's surprising is that you go up the ranks and you keep doing it. Like, you don't get to a certain level and go, oh shit, I got away with that. Let me light a candle, do a sign of the cross.
It's a learned behavior, Mike. Right? They've learned it, and if nothing, there's no repercussions. So why stop?
No. Let's take the previous head of IEB, right? Who I happen to know. He was a lieutenant, worked for me. I never had a bad thing to say about this guy. He was a gentleman. He always worked. I thought he was very respectful and, did his job. I'm not saying, everybody has different intellect. The guy wasn't stupid, but he wasn't like a Phil Pulaski either, right? With a couple of PhDs, but he was a good guy. Now he's in IEB. Now he gets a complaint against the chief of department, and he slow walks it.
Yeah, of course.
And because what happened, he goes, well, this is what he did. Well, he got me here. I'm his guy. He's my guy. He's probably going to survive this. And if I go after him, I won't. So he put his card to that horse. This is my opinion only. He made a choice because somebody called me and said, isn't that a shame what happened? He had to leave. I go, listen, I always liked him. But the truth is, that's the decision he made, and he has to live with it. He went the wrong way. I'm sorry. If you try to side with what's right, with some integrity, I think very rarely will there be people that look to hammer you personally. If they do prevail, yep, then you'll have to put up with it. Maybe you won't get another promotion, big deal. Maybe you'll wind up in an assignment that you're not crazy about, big deal. We've all been there. I think I'd rather do that. I think I'd rather miss a promotion or get assigned somewhere I'm not crazy about. Rob, we went through all these changes. You always went to new places. It always worked out at the end. You settled in.
No.
Then get involved with something that's just wrong like that sets a tone. And you may actually be almost abetting criminal nature. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know Miguel, and I got promoted with him, and I thought he was got promoted to deputy chief with him, and I felt he was a good guy. I knew guys that worked in intel with him, and he was a well-respected and a decent person. And just because he aligned himself, I mean, like I said, that's
he played for the wrong team, Rob.
He gave the white, he gave the white shirt immunity, or he gave it to somebody that he. Well, let me finish. He gave it to somebody that he knew that would benefit him later on, or keep him in that position, right? So there's a little bit of nepotism there also, because let me show favoritism to this, because if I don't and it goes the wrong way, I'm a dead man, right? I know a guy, and you know a guy that Madry hated and kicked off the job. So Madry had a reputation to do that.
3 months. 3 months.
Yeah, all he asked was to stay for 3 months for a certain anniversary of so many years on the job. He had served well over 40 years, and he was told no because there was a previous vendetta. So that nepotism and cronyism has lasted for years, and in the back of his head, that's it. He wanted to show him out.
Well, see, that's petty bullshit. Now, I could have hated that. I could have hated him, but I have to respect the time. First of all, I know he was a damn good cop. The guy you're talking about, good boss, good cop. First guy through the door with you the whole bit.
And up until the end, he was the first guy through the door.
Absolutely. But even if I hated him, I have to say to myself, I have to respect the fact the guy's aging out. He did 40 years. He's earned the right to this. What's it going to cost me to give him another 3 months? What do I get out of this? Nothing. What do you want to get? I get to show everybody that I'm a petty asshole, vindictive piece of shit. Now, Miguel, yep. I think it was more, I don't think it was white shirt with Miguel. I think it was self-survival. He's worried about if I go after this guy and he doesn't get in trouble, he prevails, I'm done. You're a 3-star chief. What are they going to do to you? If they turn around and say, we'll call you captain tomorrow, you're going to retire as a 3-star chief.
Right.
Right? If they send you got to leave IAB. Okay, I'll leave IAB. I'll go somewhere else. Where do you want me to go?
Yeah.
You want me to make me a 3-star chief in charge of counting paper clips? I'll do that too.
Yeah.
I happen to know guys that are pretty high ranked that were, and damn good guys too. I'm thinking of one in particular that if I had my way, he'd be chief of detectives tomorrow. But he got assigned something over nonsense. It was one of the previous administration. Kaz Daughtry did him for no reason at all. I mean, really no reason at all. And he took it. You know, he went to a unit that did not appreciate his particular skills and talents and intellect. He said, well, you know what, I'll make this, I'll learn this too. I'm learning something new.
Yeah.
And he made his way back because the present police commissioner appreciated his talents. She knew of him and knew of his talents, which he is a very talented, intelligent guy. Does it happen? But he didn't bow down. He stood tall.
No,
he stood
can't.
tall. No.
Well, you shouldn't. You shouldn't anyway.
Particularly when you're an IAB.
Yeah,
In
no.
IAB, that's one of the most corrupt units I've ever seen, IAB. They're all stealing overtime. Detectives don't detect anything. Sergeants are doing investigations. They're generating their own overtime. They get 40 every month, no matter what. Even if they don't have a case, they just
I know.
They manufacture overtime. And really, any big case they ever did, they got from the feds or somebody else.
Yeah, they didn't know. It was, or
They're too busy chasing, they're too busy chasing things that shouldn't be chased. And meanwhile, you get a case like this. So what do we got? We got a chief of department, and we have a lieutenant who made an inordinate amount of overtime. Not just 1 year, by the way. I think it was a couple of years. You have another chief who's signing overtime slips and backdating them. Sounds like there's a lot of crime there. Everybody retired. They're going off into the sunset. But you're creating false documents, or you're creating the back documents. I don't know if you want to call them false. Some people are saying, well, they were there, but IAB took them. I don't think they were ever made. From what I understand, the overtime was being called in, and that's only word of mouth. I'm not. This is just what I'm being told, and I kind of believe it, but doesn't mean I'm right. And I'm not accusing anybody of doing anything, but it sure looks like there was a lot of things going on, surely enough to generate a huge investigation, not just to let people go off into the sunset. And if it's true, you got to get everybody, and everybody's got to get whacked harder. You know what's going to happen? It's going to happen again. So let's take that.
Right.
This is the tone that's set in the department. And
That's the only way. Yeah, it's the only way it's going to straighten out if people get whacked. Just go back to the Shubin for a minute. There was a news report from CBS Channel 2 News. I just want to play that. It's like 2 minutes long, but it gives a good overview of everything. And they talk about it, breaking news or whatever. So Tom, could you throw that in there? Yeah, it was the actual video of it. I think it's 1A2.
He does such a nice job, Tommy.
Against the NYPD's 46th precinct in the Bronx. An NYPD inspector and former commander is charged with attempted rape of a female officer. At the same time, 3 female officers at that same precinct filed a lawsuit against the NYPD, alleging sexual harassment and a hostile work environment. Alice Gaynor reports.
A handcuffed 46-year-old Jeremy Shublin was led into the courtroom at Bronx Criminal Court. The NYPD inspector and former commander of the 46th precinct pleaded not guilty to charges including attempted rape and sex abuse. It's alleged last year in January of 2025, he attacked a female subordinate officer in his office who says she fought him off. He allegedly told her he wanted to make biracial babies and warned her the next day, the last person who made accusations against me, it didn't go well for them. Her attorney says she filed a lawsuit in March, saying in part, quote, his indictment comes more than a year and a half after she first reported him, and only because she refused to let the department bury what he did. When Shublin left free on bail, supporters cheered.
These people are all community, and everybody's supporting
Inspector Shublin is an honorable man.
He's been suspended without pay from the NYPD and will be back in court in October. Separately,
good guys,
3 female officers at the 46th precinct are suing a different commanding officer, the city, and NYPD commissioner, alleging sexual harassment, hostile work environment, retaliation, and discriminatory treatment there. They accuse the commanding officer of turning the command into his personal sexual playground, and when Latina female officers resisted, avoided him, declined him, or complained, the department protected the command structure instead of protecting the women harmed by it.
That command has lots of problems. This is only a tip of the iceberg.
We spoke with the women's attorney, who is a former NYPD officer.
It's one thing to be a police officer. It's already a tough job for women, and then to make it even tougher when they're objectified by their own supervisors.
The NYPD says this is under internal review. The city's law department is not commenting. Alice Gaynor, CBS News, New York.
Now I'll tell you something else. I remember a case, and pretty much a policewoman, she told a lieutenant, they pretty much agreed on some quid pro quo, right? If you give me this, I'll give you that, I'll give you that, and kind of how it went. And when the lieutenant held up his end of the bargain and got her what she wanted, and now asked for his agreed upon reward, she made a sexual complaint against him. Now that was vicious, and you know, this is what it appeared was going on. I don't know whatever happened to that. I didn't follow it. I wasn't particularly that interested in it. I don't understand how anybody gets involved with that. Again, 2 cops and a command are allowed to date each other. The commanding officer should pull them in and say, it's not a good idea, you both work here. I'll give you a couple days. You guys talk about it. Decide who wants to go where. When do you got to go? And I'll help you get there. You're not punishing them. You're just trying to make things better, because in the same command there could be problems. If you're a boss and dating a direct subordinate, that's against department rules. That's not corruption. It's not very smart. It doesn't set a good example, but it ain't corruption. All right, it's not. You can't get charged.
It happens all the time. Here's the thing. There's a commonality between the job, right? So a male and a female, or I guess it could be other sexual preferences or whatever. But when you meet somebody that has the same interests that you do, and I often talk this, and I've talked this in the past with Ron also. And by the way, today's Ron's birthday, everybody. So just we give a shout out to Ron.
I remember when I was 42.
I can only envision Ron right now with a hat on and blowing candles out. Yeah, he's got the little cone hat on.
They're throwing cake at him and stuff.
Yeah, he's got cake all over his face. So Ron, happy birthday! So the commonality between a man and a woman that do the same job, and the way to go home and talk about the job and have the understanding is an asset, right? Because how many times if you dated somebody that didn't know anything about the job, and you said, hey, I had EDP today. And they're like, what? What? An EDP? What the hell's that? And they have to explain it. And then you say, oh, the bus came late. The bus? You put the crazy person on a bus? No, that's what's an ambulance. So all the terminology, the understanding of the jobs, understanding of the hours that you have to work, understanding when you make an arrest, you can't go on the date that night. So it happens throughout all those precincts, and housing, locations, transits, or whatever. It happens across the board in the job, and it is not corruption. When you meet somebody that you like, and eventually you fall in love, it is not corruption.
You just have to be advised
all the time.
No, you have to be advised that if you supervise them directly, it's not, you're not allowed to do it, and it's a lot of reasons why. So if you think you're in that position, I don't know, you're a sergeant, lieutenant, captain, whatever, and you see this girl that you, for whatever reason, you think you're in love with her, and you have something going on, you need to ask for a transfer, or she needs to ask for a transfer to get out, and then you're not in violation of anything. When they talk about the guy from IAB, the head of IAB, and he maybe having an affair with a person in his office, and his number 2 is 2. That's not corruption. It's a bad look, because you're an IAB, and it is against the rules if you supervise them, and IAB is supposed to be above that. IAB is one of those rules for thee but not for me, and that's been my experience with a lot of them. Not all of them, of course. You can't put anybody in the same bowl, but it does get that way, and I think they actually enjoy holding that over people sometimes. It almost seems like they're cruel, like they're pulling wings off a fly, They enjoy seeing people squirm, which is really not nice. You got a job to do. Rob, you've handled the jobs. I've handled jobs, and sometimes the police officer, there's just no two ways about it, they're wrong. and you have to do what you have to do. And I never took any joy in it. I never thought it was funny or fun. I never felt good about it, but you got to do your job, you know. But that's not corruption. I think as a boss, I don't know. I think if you do that, I think it kind of takes away from your respect and the way the people respect you. If you're carrying on like a fool, right? Which in some of these cases, it looks like they were, right? I don't know. I heard when they raided the office up in one police plaza that there was all these things in there, you know, that they had to remove. It kind of sounded like, what the hell was going on in there? It sounded like you were in P. Diddy's playground or something there for a while, you know?
Yeah.
So.
No, I think I like what Mike Kelly, is it Mike Kelly? Tom, you had highlighted it. He says, I think the best way, he says, he's not a cop. I'm not the police, but it seems to me the best way to stay out of trouble in any department, it's probably any job anywhere, right? Is to keep your pants on and stay out of the bar.
No.
You know, and you know what? He's right? And you know what? When we talk about, okay, when we find out there's a relationship between somebody and they're working the same platoon or they're in the same command, if one of them's a supervisor, 100%, Mike, I agree with you. One of them has to go, okay? Because there's going to be allegations of favoritism. There's going to be allegations that, you know, things that person is getting special treatment because it doesn't even have to be on your platoon. But if you're going to tell the other sergeant, hey, that's my girlfriend or that's my boyfriend, take care of them. Don't send them to the, tell roll call. Don't send them to the detail because we're going out, on a date that night or whatever. So it's best served for themselves.
I even think if you're the same rank, even to police officers, because sometimes what happens, I've seen, so you got a guy and a girl, all right? I'm just going to go by, the average thing, a guy and a girl, and they start seeing each other. And then all of a sudden, sometimes the guys I would see, they would get, or even a girl, they would get a little possessive. Like if they thought, I had to go to the 9-0 one night, there was two girls, man, they were fighting like crazy. I couldn't believe it, over a guy. I mean, two police women, and they both wanted to have each other arrested. I'm like, oh my God, so you're better off just separating it. Go, hey, Rob, you want to date Mary Jo? You guys are both cops. Rob, listen, I call you both in. And listen, I respect what you guys are doing. I'm happy if you're happy. But I don't think it's a good idea you both stay in the same command. So why don't you guys talk about it and come to me in a couple of days. Whichever one of you wants to leave, see where you want to go. I'll help you get there. A detail. Hey, maybe you're a great cop, Rob, and you've earned it anyway, right? But you tell them, listen, I'll thank you. Everything you've done for me, I'll help you get where you want to go. I think this is really best for the both of you. Because this can cause problems. I can't force you to do it, but I can suggest it strongly, and that's what I would do. So, but some of these people, their whole career was based upon predatory behavior.
Yeah, no,
and you know it.
They get away with it. That's why, So let talk about predatory behavior, right? So I called the episode the 4-6 precinct.
I saw that. Yeah.
Right.
It was good.
So there's the 4-6. It's a known on Ryer Avenue.
Yep.
It's a small precinct, but it's busy as shit. Right. It's very busy. It's an A house. It's always been an A house. A lot of great bosses came in through those doors to get promoted and stuff later on. But let's just take a look at the next CO. Right. So whatever, how many months ago, whatever, Jeremy Shubin is transferred. And then Juan Moran gets there. And then there's his allegations, right? We saw that in a previous video. Three women make sexual allegations from there. And now you can see there's a new position vacancy for that. They're looking for either a captain, a deputy inspector, or inspector to take over the realm of the 4-6 precinct. So literally they've lost another CO to some sort of sexual allegations. And listen, the job will always do this. The job, when there's a sexual allegation, the one that the allegation is made against is going to get transferred, okay, because of retaliation and everything, especially when it's a supervisor, okay? So it's not unheard of. Like Jeremy Shubin, he got transferred to the borough, Now, normally somebody leaves the command and gets transferred to the borough. You say, okay, that's a promotion. That's going to be something good for them. But I worked in the borough as an admin lieutenant and also then as a domestic violence coordinator in the borough. And there's times when captains, deputy inspectors, and inspectors get transferred to the borough, and it's not a good reason. They're tabled. They're put in offices, and they don't make any decisions, and they just sit there all day and do absolute shit.
Yeah.
So I'm going to assume that's what Jeremy Shubin did for those months. He was not making any major decisions. I'm sure if you I'll give you a question there, Mike. If you're the XO in the borough, which you had been, right, and you got a guy dumped from the 4-6 and given to you, I mean, it's gonna tread on thin ice until you exactly know what's going on with him, because you don't know what's gonna happen with him.
Well, I would generally take him out to lunch and kind of give him the pep talk. Listen, new start, fresh start, no judgments made here, and hope they turn around. But you said something very interesting, Rob, which brings to mind a hazard, a really extreme hazard. Usually the person that gets complained about is the one that's transferred, particularly if it's a boss. Well, look at this. So now you're a cop and you're not getting what you want. The boss isn't giving you what you want. So you want to get rid of him or her. Yep. You call up and make a sexual harassment complaint.
100%. 100%, man.
I'll tell you what. I'm going to tell you a story. I think I told it to Eric the other day. I was speaking to Eric about this stuff. And I was a commanding officer, and a female cop came in with the delegate. I don't know why I brought the delegate, and wanted me to sign a 57 for ESU, for your unit, Rob, right? Mm-hmm. Now, I loved ESU, and I sent them a lot of good cops, but you had to be a worker. I was never going to ask you to, if I recommended somebody, I felt they were a very good cop, it's up to you. And I'd say, Rob, you got to vet them. And they got to pass everything like they're supposed to, because it's a special unit. That should not be for chief's sons and bullshit and girlfriend. It should be for somebody who really is going to do it, because those were the guys that can do guys. So I said, well, you haven't been doing the things that I've asked you to do, so I can't sign this. I can't recommend you because you don't do much. Go back out on the street for 6 months or so and, do some work, come back and we'll revisit it, right? And I don't know why the delegate was there, because she didn't need an eyeglass from a prescription form, and it wasn't disciplined. So that was just bullshit they did in his command. Everything that came, the delegate came with them, as if that would scare me, I guess, or something. But and at that point, the cop actually said, "Well, I didn't do what you asked me to do. I did what he asked me to do." And she points to the delegate. I said, "Well, then ask him to sign it." Well, he can't. Well, that's my point. So who should you listen to? And by the way, I never asked somebody to do anything unreasonable. The things that we as people do is to benefit the community and the cops. Never ask them to do more than they could do, because you can't give them unrealistic expectations. That's not fair to them, because they work hard enough as it is. So then turns around right in my face. Yeah, well, you told me the only reason I was in the military reserves. Everybody please excuse what I'm saying, but this is what I was told. So that I could give blowjobs. I said, oh, I said that to you. Yep. Was anyone else in the office? Nope, because I would never talk to cops without somebody else in the office. So you didn't want somebody to be misconstrued or anything like that. You wanted another set of ears, right? And so I said, okay, and I picked up the phone, and I start dialing, and the delegate, what are you doing? I said, I'm calling the EO. This cop just said that I offended her. I said something bad. I said, I'm going to report myself. And he, no, she's not like that. Yeah, she is. She's like that. And you are too, because you're standing right next to her. EO picks up. I don't know what my rank was then or whatever. Was it chief or inspector? I don't know what the hell I was. So I said, I have to report myself. I have an officer here, a female. She said that I insulted her, that I offended her. Give her the phone. She said, no, there's no complaint here. Hangs the phone up. Done. Put to bed. That's it. What else can you do? But I was really kind of blown away at the, why would you do that when it's a lie? What do you think, you're going to scare me, or is it this big threat? And I think some of us do live under that, some of the bosses. Rob, they'd rather not deal with it. So they just give people, they knuckle a little bit, give people what they want. I don't want any problems. I don't want to lose my command. I don't want to get transferred. I don't want, imagine that. Imagine you're a married guy and you have a female that makes, or a male, either sex, don't matter. And the opposite person, the opposite sex says that you made this advance to them, and you get transferred. I think your partner at home is going to think, well, wait a minute. Here was my person, whether man or girl, who was a ranking officer, and everyone thinks, hey, they're not going to hurt another boss, right? They transferred my person. There must be some truth to it. Now your relationship is in jeopardy now because of a lie. So it's a hard road to hoe, because if something is really happening to somebody, if they're really being harassed or they're a victim, you want to protect them, because that shouldn't happen to any of us. But there are those people that'll use this to their advantage too, and it might not necessarily be true. So you really got to do a good investigation. For them to go this far with Shubin, and I don't know anything, I'm just talking off of my head, one would have to think that there must be did she have something on tape or some corroborating evidence? I mean, they arrested the guy. They marched him in handcuffs, which is unnecessary, because
I was going to ask you about the, handcuffs, and I think they asked for a high bail also originally. But the judge lowered it to 25,000.
Yeah, well, that's like you said, the Bronx DA, and it's a good optic for them. And look, we got the cop. You need this guy in handcuffs, really? I mean, boy, he's not going to turn himself in. Of course he is. Yeah, and you walk him through. Purple. You don't have. Yep. Gee, you think it's any accident that the press is all lined up? This was all let out.
Yeah.
And now I don't know he's guilty or innocent, but that's certainly not nice. He's due the same consideration that any drug dealer or gunman is given in the city of New York. You shoot somebody and you're out on the street on bail. So there you go. Who knows?
Yeah, no, and people in the chat are saying that he was a good, Shubin was a good guy. I mean, that's fine. It doesn't mean that he didn't, fall off the wagon, as they say. But just the way he was disrespected, in my opinion. Yeah. Phil the heater guy saying, was he front cuffed? He looked like he was front cuffed, but
I thought he was rear cuffed walking in, but
he's of no flight risk. It's 18 months ago, for Christ's sake. He could have been gone already if he wanted to. He's not going anywhere. All right. He's no threat to anybody. And he's surrounded, like you said, he's perp walked down the hallway in the courthouse. So everybody can get a glimpse of him walking in. You saw that when he came out, right? People cheered. People were cheering. There was a couple other people that, spoke highly of him. So, yeah, was his whole career derailed because of this allegation? 100%. He was completely, and worse, like let's say it was just the allegation. Okay, that's fine. And he wants to retire because of that. But to actually get arrested for it is to me is a little. I can't fathom it really, because
it almost makes you think, what do they have? Like, you're doing this just on an allegation? I mean, you could have called him in and said, come in for an investigation. He would have. Now, I'm not giving anyone right or wrong. I'm just saying that's extreme.
Right.
It almost makes you think, Jesus, they must have something on this guy, but that may not be the case at all. Somebody brought up a very good point. This is like his third command. Ron brought up a very good point. The department advocate gave some quote. I don't know when EEO became a sword for police officers instead of the shield it was intended to be. Well, when it did that was when the department advocate railed some guy or girl over an allegation. When they prevailed, when somebody did a lawsuit, some ambulance chasing lawyer picked it up and managed to win and get them some money. Somebody's unhappy. They got a boss transferred. They feel like they're getting back. That's when it became a sword, when the system let it become a sword. It's really incumbent upon, and I don't know how you do it, because what if it's just a he said, she said thing, right? What if it's a he said, she said?
Well, you know what? I got another issue. I'm going to throw it out real quick, because QCB brought it up earlier. He said, couldn't the XO become the CO? And he or her could be, but why would you want to be at this point? To me, that if you have one allegation right against the first CO 18 months ago, Jeremy Shubin, then Moran gets 3 allegations against him. similar, right, for sexual, some, EEO complaints. Why would anybody at that point want that command? So going forward, I think you and I can talk about ways to prevent the allegations, right? What you can do as a CO, as an XO, or even a sergeant, right? Any boss and above, how to protect yourself when you're interviewing somebody, when you're talking to your police officers or subordinates or whatever. What do you do to make sure that those allegations are not made? And then
Well,
there's things you can do, right? So,
well, yeah, listen, I'm sorry, my opinion only. I know I worked in some tough commands too. I never had a girl work with me. I didn't want it. I didn't want a girl in the office when I was a CO. I didn't want a woman to drive me. I didn't. There's too many pitfalls to that. And I'm not making any judgment on male cops, female cops, but I don't need that shit in my life, so I wouldn't do it. And how do you protect yourself? So even if you do that and you have, like I said, I always had, you remember Joe Donahue, Rob, he was my guy. He was always with me every time somebody talked to me. And I would actually make a computer entry about what was discussed and who was there and what time and what date and what the results were, what was discussed. I would do all of that stuff as a precaution. But even if you do all that and you never go out, I know the guy said, keep your pants on and don't go to the bar. But listen, we go to the bars once in a while. Everybody does. We're human beings like everybody else. If you are not married, and you're not encumbered with another person in your life, and you want to date somebody, I guess you can. I think I'd try to keep it out of my command, but I guess you could. But so if you do everything right and you act very honorable, and you get one person, like they said, this guy never had a complaint against him. I'm not saying guilty or not guilty, but he never had a complaint. He had 2 other commands. He's got a pretty long career. Nobody's ever said a word before. And then all of a sudden he's acting in a matter that's like an aberration to what he's shown himself to be. What if it's not true? So what if you did everything right and you were never alone and you never took a person of the opposite sex or anything to drive you or sit in your office and help you out administratively or any of that? And you never went out to the bars. When the girls showed up, you left, right? You went home. So you try to do everything right. You comport yourself in a proper manner with dignity and respect. Even if they start joking about, girl, no, I'm a married guy. I don't do that, right? You do everything right.
right.
And then somebody still says
Yeah.
this. How do you?
I mean,
but I was in the office alone with them. How do you prove that they weren't?
Well, yeah, I mean, right. So here's the thing, in my opinion, right? So we talk about, bosses have an open door policy. You know what? That door needs to stay open all the time, no matter what you're talking about. And listen, here's the thing, right? I'll take it on a personal level for a minute, right? When I go for my prostate exam, right? The doctor brings somebody else in the room. Right?
Is it true you do that once a week, Rob?
I do as often as I can.
Okay, go ahead.
Listen, and the person they bring in, I don't think they come in to look at my cute ass. I don't think that's the reason. Okay,
you are as cute as a button. It's true.
It could be. I'm not just saying.
No,
but
you're right, and that's
right. So you have somebody there, and listen, you can have your XO, right? You can have your ICO. Listen, if you're talking to a police officer, bring your squad sergeant in. All right. So, do all of that, right? And like Ron's saying right there, you never heard me say, close the door behind you, right? You don't need to bring somebody in and close the door. Leave the door open or bring somebody in. Tabitha Foster talked about earlier, have cameras inside the CO's office. You could also activate your body-worn camera, right? All the inspectors and cap chiefs, right? They have body-worn camera. It doesn't, I looked up the policy today. It doesn't say you cannot record a conversation with a subordinate. It says that you can, for tactical issues, for things like that. So you have body-worn camera. And when you talked about, okay, so Ron will often say it, and I agree wholeheartedly with him, right? So I forget the exact saying, but when the beer starts flowing, the bosses start going, right? So when there's too much drinking going on, get the hell out of there. You got to leave. You're not one of the boys. You're not one of the girls. Have a few drinks with your men. Absolutely, men and women. Enjoy the time that you have off, and then hit the road, right? Get out of there.
I'm going
The
to take
difference is, when you spoke about it, the difference is, though, in a bar or in a location, there's witnesses there at least, right?
Yeah.
So you have other people there, you have the bartender. So usually there's video inside those places. So you have some sort of defense, but you have to protect yourself. If you're not putting these things, especially because when you see what's happening in the force sex, if you're seeing what's happening in that precinct, you got to protect yourself if you're a CO somewhere. Okay, take the necessary steps. We don't want to, and we would assume that not every person's going to make an allegation because they don't. But you got to protect yourself, and don't be afraid if you're a female or a male, like you said. You know, somebody did inappropriate touching to you early on. Don't be afraid. You know, have your body-worn camera on, and if the boss says turn your body-worn camera off because we're gonna have a talk, well then I want somebody else in here. Then that's all. Don't be afraid to say it.
Well, here we go with this, though. Okay, well, Samantha just said that she had many male COs. Anytime a female was addressed, they'd have another boss in there. Not just females, Samantha. It's not a male. Anytime you speak to anyone, because anyone can say anything, and it doesn't have to be sexual in nature. It could be a lot of things. It could be racial. It could be anything. But okay, Rob, so you do that, and I would sometimes tell them, I'm going to record this conversation. Do you mind? I think the only time that I might speak to a cop alone is if a cop came to me, be it male or female, and said, listen, I have something really personal I need to speak to you about, and it's private. Now, we care about our people, and some of these people have some real problems, whether it's sickness in the family, whether it's some kind of personal need, and they don't necessarily want it blasted out all over. I could trust Joe Donachie with my life. There's nothing I wouldn't tell Joe, or that, but I could understand why maybe somebody doesn't know him like I do. And if I say, well, no, he's going to be here, and then that person walks away and may not ask you for the help they need, and what if they go home and kill themselves that night, right? You have to have a little empathy. Now, okay, but those are the times where, you know, you're going to have to kind of acquiesce, and yeah, I'll talk to you alone. Now, you do what you said. You record it, you put on a body camera. Okay, that protects you to some extent. But then what's it stop to say, yeah, but after he cut the camera off, he did this.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it could be any time, but yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Do body-worn camera. Do a witness then. If you don't want to bring a body-worn camera,
right?
You know, and here's the thing: if somebody wants to talk to you in private, you can say, all right, you know, do you feel comfortable bringing in somebody else? Maybe. Oh no, I don't. Okay. And then take it in an open location. Like, you don't have to stay and shut the door in your office either. There's places in the precinct where you can go and they're kind of secure or whatever, or you go outside. You know,
so now somebody gets a picture of you with this person.
Yeah, I mean, anything can happen, right? I'm just saying, you're trying to do your best, but at least you're outside in public. You're outside talking to somebody in public. So I mean, there's ways.
I know I'm taking it to the extreme, but the point is, there's probably no way that you can really protect yourself 100% of the time. And as far as somebody being beset upon, well, if I thought somebody was going to do that to me, right, I'd probably work it out where I was never alone with them ever again. You know, if they were a little inappropriate and it made me uncomfortable, I would never want to be alone with them ever again. I mean, all these things that you see, like, let's go crazy. Let's talk about Harvey Weinstein, right? With the girls, with the actresses. Now, that's horrible. And a real rape is a horrible crime. And when somebody really takes advantage and they're a real predator, it's horrible. And you have to feel nothing but compassion and pain for the victim. Because it is horrible when you feel helpless. You don't even control your own life, your own body. That's got to be a horrible thing.
Absolutely.
But a lot of the people was he wrong? Yeah, he was wrong to use his position to get these girls to get with him. But the way that looked to me was a lot of them, they made a trade. They traded the quid pro quo. I need a career. He's going to give me a career. I'll do what he wants to do. And everybody was happy. And then 20 years later, you're complaining about it. After you got your career, you got what you wanted. You're part of that too, all right? They weren't going, no. Yeah, okay, I know why. Listen, guy's inviting me up to his hotel room. I don't think we're gonna play checkers. I saw a rape 61 years ago. Honest to God, I can't believe they took it. This was before Comstat and everything. You like want to shake your head. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe I was in the 7-7. Girl meets a guy in a club. They go home. She takes him to her apartment. They take their clothes off and they're in the shower together. He wants to have sex. He has sex with her. But I told him, no. You are naked in the shower with a man you just met. Is that rape? What are we going to give each other massages in there? And you know, so I thought that was now that's extreme, and that's a true 61. It's like, holy Christ, you know, the detectives are going to have a ball with that one in special victims, you know. But
I listen, Mike. I can remember going on, and I spoke to this a couple of podcasts ago. I remember going on domestic calls, and the person said, the woman would answer the door and say, "I want this guy taken out of my apartment." And you go, "Okay, you know what happened?" "Oh, I have an order of protection against him, and he's not supposed to be within 150 feet of me or whatever the case may be."
But you let him in.
She let him in to have sex.
Yep.
And then he wasn't leaving right away, so she called the police. And now you have an order of protection. But he's violating it.
But see, it wasn't against the law for her to ask him in.
No.
It was against the law for him to go in.
Right.
So shame on you. You took this order of protection. I'm sorry. And yes, we were married for 10 years. And yes, I do love you. And yes, I'd like to get back with you. I can't even talk to you. Call my lawyer. Call my lawyer when the order of protection is canceled. And we'll talk about reconciliation. I mean, listen, we all do stupid stuff. You know, particularly men do more stupid stuff than women, but you know, but you have to protect yourself. I'm not minimizing any complaints these girls are making. If it happened, it happened, and people have to answer for it. Just like the guy from IB had to answer. I just think I sit and I wonder, how do we ensure that it's correct? I mean, we don't want to make anyone a victim. No innocent person should suffer over a lie, right?
No.
How do we ensure it's correct? And like I said, they got that man in handcuffs. I don't know him from Adam. I never heard the guy's name before I read it in the paper. I don't know his reputation. Apparently, it's not bad from what I do see. And they march him in. I thought he was rear cuffed. Front cuff, rear cuff doesn't matter. He's cuffed. And he didn't need to be, because he's not a flight risk. He's going to turn himself in. He may or may not be married, may or may not own a home. He's had a job for 20-something years. Where is he going? He may have kids in school. Where's this guy going? He shouldn't even have bail on him, for God's sakes.
No.
They don't put bail on murderers in New York. For some guy who, all right, attempted. I mean, if it was a completed act and the girl was beat up, I'd say, screw him, he's got to go. You know, that's a really heinous thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
What the extent?
I think Jeremy, what he does is he pushes them to make a decision, right? So when he files for retirement, they have the 30 days, right? So they have the 30 days to drop charges or do anything else. So as a result of the charges that I got for lying, then
they referred the matter to
for the rape.
Yeah.
But I'm saying for what they terminated him for was for refusing to answer questions in the GO-15.
I think, I'm not sure if it was that or that, because from what I understand and what I discussed with Ron, and I didn't read it at length, forgive me, Ron, because you were kind enough to do the research and send it to me. They ask you to waive the 30-day requirement so they have time to do an investigation.
Correct. They can, right.
And he didn't. And if you don't waive it, they will then terminate you. And I think that's what happened.
They have to bring it to trial, right? Within those 30 days. They'll force your hand to go to trial, because
and there's no way it's going to happen that fast. So
right.
He said, I'm out. Well, you got to, unless you waive the 30 days, in other words, give us more time to rail you and maybe take your pension away, we're going to terminate you. Well, then terminate me. I'm still going to keep my pension. I'm not going to roll that dice.
No.
You know,
if he rolled the dice and he stayed, and then he got a felony conviction, right?
He loses his pension.
Would lose his pension.
That's right.
So now here's the thing: with an attempted rape, I'm gonna assume that he's gonna take a plea. eventually he'll take, if he thinks he's losing in trial or whatever, he's going to take the plea, right? So then he will,
It depends what depends what the offer is,
the
Rob.
offer's a misdemeanor. You got to figure if it's an attempted rape, the offer is going to be a misdemeanor of some sort. So he's still not going to lose his pension no matter what, right?
No, but if it's a misdemeanor sex crime, then you have to be a registered sex offender.
Right. Well, you still get your pension though, right? But people talk. But here's the thing, and Eric had mentioned it today, right? So Eric mentioned it on the podcast this morning. Is it about the money or your reputation?
Here it is right here.
Yeah, no, Tommy put it up. Yeah, so
thank you, Tom. I just want to see. It says here, Bemra, with 20 or more years to be retired as of the date he/she is dismissed. Failure by the member to give the full 30-day filing notice due to termination will not impair the member's retirement. So I'm not waiving. I'm done. I'm finished. Does not affect new members. So he probably just said, no, I'm not going to give you the opportunity to rail me. Now, listen, I know it's hard to say. He has his pension. See, if you have over 20 years of day term, you're considered retired from that day and don't lose any pension. That's right. That's what you did tell me, Ron. Thanks.
But if he gets convicted of the felony, he still might lose it.
No, he can't. No, he's out.
It's not explained. It's not explained in that law. Tommy just put that up. It's not explained. It doesn't say if.
He's retired, Rob.
I'm telling you, I disagree, but
no, that's a loophole. Why do you think all these other people that have all these things going on, I'm not going to get into names, there's a very good chance that they committed or may have committed crimes. At least there's a reasonable thought that they did. Ron, there's also a question whether they will lose a pension even if convicted of felony after retirement. Has not happened yet. I don't think it will. And I think that's a loophole.
I think it can, though.
It
might be the first. Does he want to be the first case? No.
Listen. What they tell you is this: once you do 20, unless you're convicted of a felony prior to retirement, you keep your pension. You put your papers in. Aren't there at least 3 or 4 very high-ranking people that I can think of that worked in the building that very possibly committed felonies? Unless you're convicted within the 30 days. That's what I thought too. See?
Yeah, but it's not. Where is that written? I get it.
Because after the 30 days, your pension is locked. You're retired. You're done.
Then in my opinion, it's never gonna happen, because what it is anybody over 20 is gonna say, all right, if I retire now, I've saved my pension. Right?
I agree, and I think that's why.
Well, I mean, will he have to? So what Joe Cortez is saying, who in there is right mind would participate in GO15 when I mean, that's right.
I wouldn't, Joe.
Unethical to fire somebody for choosing not to 100%. Why would you?
And I think that if you knew that you had criminal charges pending and they asked you to do a GO15, I think you can respectfully, you're not lying under GO15. You're respectfully declining to participate in it because you have criminal charges and it may impact upon.
Well, you're right. You're refusing to answer questions. So.
Right. And you can't, they can't fire you for that. They can fire you for lying under GO15.
I don't know. I'd have to look at the Matrix. That might have changed, Mike.
Oh, the Matrix. You got a couple days, I guess, to look at that. That whole thing's nuts.
Well, anybody looks at the Matrix, you just might say, basically, I'm fucked, because that's what it is. The Matrix is just a big list of things how they can screw you, and all these contributing factors and all these other crap that they add on. And when they want it, they'll get you.
I'm gonna go with Phil. He just mentioned that once you get your pension and retire, they can't take it away from you. I'm gonna go with him on that.
Well, somebody also mentioned that it's the Pension Protection Act.
Well, let me ask you something.
Soylent Green.
What about the 2 guys, the 2 cops from the 6-3, the 2 mafia cops? They were out a long time. They got their pension. They were convicted of felonies. They died in jail. Why didn't they didn't take their pension? They couldn't. Once,
Well, I don't know. No, this was recent though. This is a recent law, and I don't know. Maybe they were grandfathered in because
you may be right. Okay.
it was recent
probably-
because guys were getting terminated after 20 and losing everything, and they felt it was unfair because here I am. I did 25 years on the job. I did one thing wrong, okay, and now I could have been a misdemeanor back then. I do one thing wrong, and they say now you're fired, and now I've lost my pension. So literally, the amount of money that the 3 million, 2 million you were entitled to for the rest of your life, you were paying a fine for a criminal act that probably would serve less than a year in a jail, right? So that's why they changed that because it was completely.
Well, I don't think it'll ever happen. Once you get your pension, you're locked. I think, and I think any lawyer defending that wouldn't have a hard time.
No, I mean,
because the law says once you do 20, unless you're convicted of a felony, if you retire before conviction, if you keep your pension, it's locked. And the loophole with that, so even if they have the 30 days to investigate you, unless you plead to a felony, ain't no way in hell you're going to get arrested, tried, charged, and convicted in 30 days of a felony. You beat it each and every time.
Yeah, well, I'll do more research and look at it, because it looks like
it's interesting, but and you know what, Rob, probably one day it will be tested.
It will be, absolutely. You can see, so it's very.
If I had to do it, all right, if I had to write the law, I'd write once you have 20, and if you retired, your pension is locked. However, when you come down to retire, if there are pending criminal charges, your retirement doesn't stand until those criminal charges are resolved. That's then it's more of a guarantee that you got to beat this thing. The way it is
right,
now.
you're saying if you stay, right? So
no, that you can't retire. That you have to agree to, like, if there's criminal charges pending, and make this part of the contract, I guess, which I don't think anybody would ever agree to. That when you go down, if there are criminal charges pending, not made the day you put your papers in, because that could be retaliation, right? Before that you can't retire. You cannot lock your pension. It's not guaranteed until the criminal charge is resolved.
Wait, I missed your point though. You're saying now, or so a person.
So I think there's a loophole in the way they wrote that. I think the way they wrote it, it's almost impossible for you, if you're aware that they may be coming after you when you go to put your papers in. I think it's impossible for them to take your pension because they got 30 days. Who's going to get convicted in 30 days?
No, you're not gonna, right?
Right. So if you wanted, and like the unions hate to even think about this, what if you said, okay, it's locked. However, if on the day you go down, there are already criminal charges pending, not that oh shit, Rob's leaving, we better get him now, right? We don't like him, we're going to make, no. The day, yeah, maybe you're right. But the day you go down, there are already charges pending, which is why you went down. You can't, your pension's not locked until those charges are resolved. They already existed. It wasn't done.
You can retire though.
No, they should. That's what I mean. They got to somehow get that into a law and get the unions to agree with it. And there ain't no way that's going to happen.
Right.
You know what I mean? That would have to be like a collective bargaining thing. That's the only way, really, to protect against it seems like what's an inherent loophole in that rule.
Maybe they're giving you a loophole that if you have over 20 and something happens where you get arrested or whatever, that if you retire, whether obviously retire without the permission of the police commissioner, but you save your pension.
Yeah. Well, so then that law is a toothless target because you can't, unless you plead to a felony, it ain't gonna happen.
No, I mean, well, right. Right. Anytime you're in the middle of a trial and you feel you've been arrested for a felony, you gotta retire.
I wonder if that happens. I wonder if that happens if, okay, you got 25 years on the job and you're working. You're at work one night and they come and lock you up for a felony in uniform. You have never put your papers in. Can you still put your papers in now? You've already been arrested.
Yeah.
I guess, right?
I don't see why not. You
Yeah,
can
in
retire
other words,
right
now-
there. They
now you
can't stop you from retiring, right?
Right, yeah, see? So you're retiring to avoid prosecution, which is a good thing if you're innocent, but what if you're guilty, right? But, I guess, once you have 20 on, it's pretty hard to lose your pension, as long as you're willing to retire,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, yeah. Because
The
I wouldn't,
problem, so with Jeremy though, the problem is he's no matter his career, his life is over
oh, yeah,
because
Oh, yeah.
he's been arrested for
Oh,
a
yeah.
sexual assault.
yep,
So it doesn't. Is the money important? This is gonna weigh on his head, right? This weighs on his head. It weighs on his family, whether or not he's married or whatever. I don't know, but his mother or father, anybody that's alive who share the same name are going to be there. And no matter where he goes, no matter what job he looks for, I don't care if it's Home Depot, right? And he's the welcome guy in Home Depot. He's still going to have a problem because he's been arrested. And like we've said, right? When you fill out an application, they ask if you're arrested. I don't know if that's changed now. Sometimes, in New York, you don't have to list your arrests and stuff. But obviously, they Google your name, and even if they'll be able to find out what happened. So his life, whether if he did those actions, his life is over because of what he did.
yeah, then he deserves it, and then he
He
deserves
deserves it. If
And
the
that's an
allegations
important-
are false, then he is a victim himself,
Right.
but his life is still over. Like
And you
nobody's
you just made a very important distinction, because
nobody's gonna believe like, oh,
right.
Jeremy,
You-
you weren't convicted. Oh, okay.
No, they never do. And
Nope.
you just made a very important distinction, because somebody made a comment about, oh, you said in other words, that we're sympathetic with him, that his life is over, only if he's innocent. Yeah,
Right.
only if he didn't do it. And that is a possibility, because we don't know anything yet. So, you got to look at it. I don't know anything. I don't have any opinion on it. I don't have, the only facts I have is what I read in the paper. And those are just he said, she said thing. I don't know how you prove it, disprove it. That's pretty tough. If you did it, you did it. Listen, remember the guy I told you that came to me, and he said the girl was consensual, and then she was embarrassed because other girls found out. And, when he sat in front of me, he came from a very wealthy family, had a business that he was part of. He knew how, and he said, look, pretty much money wasn't a problem. He was a pretty even, straight up kind of guy, at least from what I saw. And he said, I just want to clear my name, because this didn't happen. Once I clear my name, I'm going to retire, and I'm going to go work for the family business. So he wasn't married, right? He had to worry about a wife and kids. He was not married. And money wasn't an issue. I mean, I could see if you got 21 years and you still have 4 or 5 little kids running around, and you got a mortgage, and, your pension isn't going to cut it. When you were going up the ladder, and you were looking forward to it, and you had your plans and your financial plans. If you did it, you did it. It's like we talked about Mike. I like Mike very much. He worked for me. If you did this, you got to answer for it. I'm sorry. I like you. I think you're a good guy, but you did it. If your son did an armed robbery and got caught, listen, I love you, son. You're always going to be my son, but you have to answer for this. You
Absolutely.
did this. And that's it.
You look at the mother that called in a possible terrorist attack, right? I mean, you want your kids to take responsibility for their actions, whether they're good or bad, right?
Yeah.
So if you're going to do something, and in fact it causes you to get arrested or do anything else, you serve your time, learn from it, and move forward.
That made me laugh, because without that mother, they were talking about, who did it? The FBI gets credit, the local police get credit. The mother gets credit, because without her, I don't know if they had the capacity or capability to do the things. Maybe they're lunatics and just dreaming. I have no idea. But let's face it, and that had to be a hard decision. My aunt had a call in on her grandson, who was a nephew of mine, as a matter of fact, and because he did a bank robbery, he had a substance abuse problem. She recognizes the picture on and they do it on the TV to still, she called in on her own grandson. She had to.
Wow. Yeah.
And Buddy Manane went out and got him for me, did me a favor, went out and got him. And he did it really quick without killing the kid, you know. And Buddy was, I don't know how he did it. He got him within like, I don't know, 32 hours or something. I don't know how Buddy found him. I know it cost me a couple of beers and pizza, I'll tell you that, for Buddy. He did it. Oh, he did it. He was the best. He was a legend. But that's a tough call. You know, would you do that? Wow, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. You know, you're going to give your kid up. But I don't know. All of this stuff is so disgusting, though. It just seems like it's an avalanche of this kind of stuff going on. All kinds of silly shit.
Yeah, I mean,
we're police officers, Rob. You know, we're supposed to like stand for something. You're supposed to be, you know, up here, like at least professional and adults and grown. This is like a bunch. This is like a bunch of kids got loose at a candy store and no supervision.
You don't know who's running what, who's doing that. Yeah.
And again, no judgment on Rob. I don't know him or the girl that made the complaint. I don't know her. I'm not saying. It's just wow that this is the atmosphere that's been created, and that came from the top. That atmosphere came from the top. I don't see that. I don't know. I mean, we've worked for some great bosses, you and I both, Rob, and respected the hell out of them. And if they even got wind of stuff like this, they'd be hauling us in going, I want this shit to end, and I want it to end right now or somebody's dead. And it would end. It would end for the most part. Not that it always didn't go on. It always did. And whenever you have men and women working together, or men and men, or women and women, whatever your sexual proclivities are, you're going to have some of this. But this is like insane. This is every time you turn around.
No, I mean, it's totally, like you said, from the top down, and it grew, right? So it's almost like I'll equate it to like a broken windows theory, right? So when you see a little stuff happening and you keep letting it go on, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then you totally lose control. And that's what happened. They might have known what's going up on the top, you know, the 13th floor, whatever. They might, you know, they hear things going on, and then it spurs down, and then people are getting away with things, and then it cascades into a whole rigmarole of corruption, and now it's widespread, right? The fact that people think that they can just do whatever they want on this job, and there is no discipline, there is no structure at all. Like who's running the show anymore? Nobody even knows, right? So I mean, the fact that it's just they you know, Tish came in and said, I'm gonna be the police commissioner of discipline. I'm gonna bring order back, but things are still happening, right? So when you look at 18 months, she was the police commissioner, right?
Well, how much control? Okay, look at it like this: like a federal government, right? There's a deep state, and the deep state protects itself, and they find these guys wrong. These guys committed crimes, and yet they don't get prosecuted because the deep state is not going to allow it. Commissioner Tish, and I don't like the whole soccer mom thing. I really think that's disrespect. She's still the police commissioner, and she is a wife and a mom, and I don't think that's nice to do that. I would never call her that.
It's not necessary, really.
No, she's the police commissioner. She did work as counsel, I think, to Commissioner Kelly when he was in. So she is aware of, I guess, she was probably in the inner circle. So she's aware of things and how things should be, or how it should be run from that level. She has experience in that. She was in that room as a lawyer and everything else. She could turn around tomorrow and say, I don't want any of this to go on.
Right.
I'm sorry, but that previous administration up there, and I don't mean, but it sounded like a boys' frat house, and not just sexually, everything, contracts, free stuff, this, that, corruption, this, that. I'm talking real corruption, not like a policeman and a policewoman who work in the same precinct having sex. I'm not talking about a sergeant dating, you're damn right. I'm not talking about a sergeant, dating one of his subordinates. It's not a good idea. But that was NYPD high school. It was worse than that.
It is,
that was NYPD Animal House on steroids. And there was no stopping it, right? Nobody, I mean, I think Sewell was a good police commissioner, in my opinion. I think she had, I think she tried to handle things with dignity and respect. I don't think she aired the dirty laundry in public. I think she left with her head up because she realized she couldn't do the things she wanted to do. I think the die was cast when she found Jeff Madry, guilty of that interfering with that collar in the 7th ray. And, I think she was told not to, and she stood up with dignity and said, absolutely not, that's wrong. People that worked with her in Nassau County had nothing to say but good things about her. And I think that lady handled herself with a lot of experience, professionalism, integrity, self-respect, and she got a better job, God bless her. Because she wasn't going to stand there and go, well, I really want to be police commissioner, so I have to put up with this bullshit. Nope, that's her name. And she walked out with her head high, and she didn't air the dirty laundry either. She didn't trash everybody. She just, that's it, I'm out. So.
No, the only thing I know of Sewell is that, she wanted to do what was right. And I think she was surrounded by two people that refused to let her be the police commissioner.
Right. Now, Tabitha just said that she promoted him twice. No, she did not. She did not like him. She wanted to rail him. She had no say in who got promoted. And that's one of the reasons she left. Because remember there was a female chief from, I think, Seattle, and she happened to be African-American also. And they were going to give her the job originally.
Right. She refused.
Because she saw that there was a deputy commissioner of public safety, and she realized, what was she? She was a figurehead. They were hiring her for her race and her sex, and she wasn't going to have any of it. That's right, Carmen. She said, And she, again, also with class. She didn't trash everything. She just kind of said, look, upon examination, this isn't for me. Again, she didn't trash anybody. She didn't get angry. She just, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to be a part of this.
Right. Well, when you put these other layers in there, like Pearson and,
promotion. Oh, please.
And promotions had to go through him, a certain rank. And then there was somebody else there that, you had promotions from different rank, had to go. Banks was the other guy. You had to go, captains and above went through, Banks, and anything below that went through Pearson, and
depending on who you talk to,
and everything else. So.
Depending on who you talk to, it may have depended on who gave him the most free stuff. I don't know, or paid them. There's all kinds of allegations now.
I know.
I would hate. You know what? We hear that because we did a long time, and you're paying money for promote. You say to yourself, that can't happen. Yeah. But you know what? With that crew, man, I'm not saying it did, but I'm not saying it's impossible either.
Well, you would hope it didn't happen, and who, I don't know what person would pay that money to do that. Like, I wouldn't pay. I'm not. First of all, it's an easy way to find out. Like I've said in the past, you could look at people's bank accounts and see where transfers were made of $15,000 or whatever. And to me, if I needed $15,000, I'm taking out a pension loan if I'm still on the job, right? Because I didn't have $15,000 just to throw around to get promoted. Right. So look who took pension loans and stuff. I mean, this is.
But
crazy.
Do they have a right? Do they have a right to do that?
No, 100%.
No,
you can't buy a promotion. No way.
No, but I'm saying the job does not have a right to look into your financial records without.
They can look into your pension records and say, when did you take a loan?
No. They're invading your privacy. Not without some kind of.
Well, I would look then.
I'm sure that they can, but I'm sure that if that was brought up in front of a judge.
Well, whose pension system is it?
Yeah,
it's not yours.
Is your name on it? Are you contributing to it? Is it yours?
You're contributing to it, but it's run by the pension system, right? I bet you they could look and see what loans were taken without any legality.
Yeah, but I don't think they could charge you with that. Do you know when they do the thing?
I'm not looking to charge. I'm looking to demote or do something.
But then, they do that thing with the administrative subpoenas for phone records, right?
Yeah, the bullshit
which is
subpoenas.
Administrative. So in other words, there's no judge. Right, Ronnie. Only if there's criminal. That's right. So what they would do is like they did it to me. They got my phone records. There was nothing on it, right? But then when I do they were trying to show I was talking this one, that one just wasn't true. There was no evidence of that at all. I didn't know these people. But they'll go and say possible criminality, right? That's what they have to say to the phone, and they get it. Now, administrative subpoenas like that are not supposed to be admissible in a department trial. But now once they have them, they just do it anyway.
Department trial or criminal trial?
No, it can be done in a criminal trial. In order for you to get an administrative subpoena, you have to tell the phone companies that there's possible criminality. You don't have to say what the criminality is.
Right.
You're avoiding going to a judge for a search warrant is what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay? Once they, and a lot of times the phone carriers will grant it. Now you saw with Congress, one company didn't, right?
Yeah.
And they were within their rights not to. So now once they get it, that's not supposed to be allowed to be introduced in an administrative proceeding because you said criminality. You lied to get it, to illegally play, because if you went to them and said, oh, it's an administrative thing, they wouldn't give it to you. I want a judge's order. So that's how they get around it. And then they now I wanted to make complaint about that, but being that no charges were rendered from that because there was nothing there, I couldn't, you can make a complaint because nothing happened to you. Yeah, but you did it. You violated my rights. What the hell is wrong? You people just can't do this, but they do. So I don't know. I don't know if they can. Ronnie just said that they can get your financial records if it's criminal. And yes, it is. But as far as I know, right now there's no criminal charges against the former chief of department. There's certainly no criminal charge against the lieutenant that made millions of dollars in overtime.
Madry, though, there is criminal charges against Madry, though.
Okay.
Huh?
But there's not.
You can charge, and you could also charge criminally. You can look for an indictment because you can say that's a form of bribery, right? It's a form of official misconduct.
Yeah, but somebody's got to be charged with it, and they haven't.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Then that's what they should do. Then,
so if there's no criminal, my point is there are no criminal charges.
No,
I don't know. Has not against the lieutenant, not against the captain, the chief that signed those overtime slips.
No, right. Well, I mean, look at McCarthy, though. McCarthy from Manhattan South. There's some sort of pay for play also there. That lieutenant also.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
So there's things from the feds could be coming down the pike.
Madry hasn't been arrested. He hasn't been charged.
Madry? No, I don't think any of them.
There's no criminal charges.
No, none of them have been charged. But we don't know if there's criminal charges, though. There could be indictments, yes. Right? And maybe they were looking for more evidence because they obviously have probable cause because they're doing search warrants on these people's houses.
But then you get a judge. They're getting judges to sign it. It's not this administrative subpoena bullshit.
Right. But what I'm saying is, as a result of that there may be a forward looking to get the pension information and things like that to prove the criminal charges of what went on.
Yeah, it's a criminal investigation, so they can get it now. There's a real criminal investigation. Yeah, they can get it now. But I think a judge will sign it, and particularly when you deal with the feds, I don't know why they're involved. I heard that there was something about some of the overtime may have been federal money, and so the feds are getting involved for that. I really don't know. You hear things until they come out with it, we'll never know. So.
No.
Yes.
No.
I tell you what. But when you have all of that and a lot of it, and even if not all of it's true, how do you think the lower ranks feel? Number one, demoralized. But if you have people in those lower ranks that are less than honest, if they're a little predatory in nature, their impression is going to be, hey, they're good with it. This is how it is here now. This is the boys' club. We can do this shit. We can, or on the flip side, if anyone makes an allegation that's not true and they profit from it because, I don't know, for whatever reason, then you don't think that opens up the floodgates for other people going, wait a minute. That person said this. I know it didn't happen. They made $500,000. I'm going to say it too. Let's all get on the bandwagon. You're opening up the floodgates either way. I don't even know how you would stop this now because it seems like they're open to floodgates. Either way, I don't know how you got to really do some really deep and very serious and efficient investigations. They have to be accurate. We got to stop this shit. You got to stop this shit.
You can also cleanse the top of the department, though. I mean, you can cleanse
Yeah.
everybody, okay? Because obviously, as we know, civil service rank is captain, and anybody with the captain is detailed at the rank above or whatever. So you're detailed for a year, 365 days.
That's
so any
right.
given time that can be pulled from you, right? So that's
Anytime.
anytime. So you know what? You want to, you do that. You demote a couple people or whatever that maybe aren't doing good or whatever. I don't know. It's a hard thing because, but you have to show some effort. Here's the problem: no effort's been shown to correct it.
Well, let me ask you something. What's the major two responsibilities of the first step? Is overtime, right?
Well, that's right. So what is she doing there?
Overtime and
discipline
and disciplinary matters.
Right.
Well, everywhere you look, the overtime. I mean, listen, I know what I think, what happened there, and what I think is, and I don't think there's any real victims. I think they were all playing their game, and now you got to get out from under. You got to get a dodge and shave your ass. That's what I think. I think everybody, you hear things from people that work up there, and said, no, man, this one was never in. This was collecting overtime, never in the office. Another lieutenant put in for all the details, never went out, never left the office, collected a fortune in overtime. The guy never left the office at all, never went to the details. Who was never there? Listen, this is a game, So, you know what though? Is just demoting people enough, Rob? Is that enough? Okay, so I'm a deputy chief. Okay, and they demote me to inspector or even captain.
You're going to retire, right? You would retire.
I go retired. What did I really lose? Other than if I'm engaging in shit like that, I got no pride anyway.
No.
All right. So I don't retire as a chief. So what? I retired as I still have my money and I don't give a shit. I think it only hurts your pride if you really care about what you're thinking. If you really have that pride in yourself, you're going to engage in this kind of shit. I wouldn't.
I just think there's too many people, or you look into I mean, I don't want to say this, but you look into people that were promoted under a certain administration, and then you evaluate them, right? And then you decide whether or not they deserve it or whatever. Because you look at the first step, and there was corruption, there was money being stolen right underneath her nose, and all that she said was, we're going to put things in place to stop it. No, things have always been in place. All right.
What have you been doing?
Your job, nothing.
Your job was to not let it happen. Now you're going to say, well, it did happen, so now I'll fix it.
No, right.
I'm sorry, you failed. You're out.
No, they gotta cleanse. They gotta cleanse. So I mean, with Jeremy, I guess if he's guilty, then that's let the chips fall where they may. If he's not guilty, I hope he has his day in court. He's already retired. For this guy Moran, who got bounced from the 4-6, the same thing. Guilty. You know what? I have no respect for you. Then so be it. If he's not guilty and it's just another allegation made against him, because we don't have the information. We don't have if there was any corroborating witnesses or any corroborating evidence. So. If he's not guilty, then I feel bad for him also, because his career is derailed. I hope that whoever takes the 4-6, I bet you I bet you, mark my words, they're going to put a female in the 4-6 as the CO. Mark my word.
I guess.
Mark my words. So,
but if you do, it better be a very well experienced, knowledgeable, and tough female, because it's going to take one hell of a leader to go in there and fix that. Because if you don't think every cop in there is feeling like shit, I don't know exactly what's going on in that command. And you hear it now, like they're coming up with all kinds of names for it and stuff, and frat house and this and that. Imagine, like you said, it's a busy place. Imagine you're a hardworking cop.
Yeah.
And now you're like, people are laughing at you. Yeah, look where you work, your family, and everything else. I work every day. I put my life on the line. When they dumped the 7-7 after the Buddy Boy thing, I was a sergeant in 7-3, and they dumped that entire command. And one guy that they sent to me, may God rest his soul, he's since died from 9/11 cancer, but he was there like a month. He transferred from highway or something, and he was there a month, and he came to the 7-3, and nobody would work with him. They were afraid because of that. You had that big corruption scandal over there. It got to a point, I put him on the midnights and said, well, you could drive me for a while. I'll work with you. Don't worry about it. Because he was a good guy. He was only there a month. Everybody gets painted with the same brush, Yeah. And that can be a tough, that can be a tough thing for them there. And they're riding around in the community and, the community's saying shit to them and make fun of them. Here you are. You're out there busting your ass and risking your life for your community and your job and your city. And now you're painted with that same brush. That's going to be a tough thing to fix.
Now QCB's cracked me up though. He just said, even better, a female minority to avoid biracial babies. Because that's
yeah. But now what if say another female cop says, hey, she made.
Oh, I mean, it can happen.
What do you do? What do you do? Well, you get some guy.
I don't know.
She touched me in the office.
You can't stop all scenarios, right? So
no,
but
that's what I mean. You're gonna have to go in there. I could see a person. Again, I know I spoke of her before, and I don't know her personally, but from what I saw, if you were gonna put a female, I could see a person like Sewell, the way she carried herself and the way she spoke, and and her history and her record. And I could see her going in and maybe straightening it out, So, but if they send a guy in there, he's got to really, I don't know. I guess you talk to the roll calls right off. You kind of put it out there. You just put it out in the air. You air it all out and say, listen, this is what I expect. This too shall pass.
Yeah.
And when we're going to get through this, and I'm going to get through it with you. And listen. No fooling around, no nonsense. We got to stay above board. Everything's got to be on the level. Come on, we'll get through this. I'll make sure you people are taken care of, and hope to hell you can actually heal the place.
Yeah.
So,
well, listen, Mike. At least let's see what happens with these two guys. But at least you weren't playing basketball in Harlem, right? You see
I saw
that incident. Hey, I mean, that's crazy. I want to ask you though, as a precinct CO, right?
Yeah.
When you see or hear something like an event that's going to happen in your particular command, and I know there's limited amount of personnel in precincts now, but what would you have done if you saw an event like this, which is going to have a large gathering, guys playing basketball, and then we know historically at certain basketball games, whether it's at Crotona Park or it's out in Brooklyn or whatever, that things happen. What would you have done anything to prevent this as the precinct commander? Or would you have what would you have done?
I probably would have. I mean, I think those are the towers, I think, by 5th Avenue and 112th Street, because my first precinct assignment as a cop was in the 2-8. And I think that's it. I don't think that basketball court was there, and I think that's been put since. They always had tournaments. They used to have the Rucker tournaments up in the 3-2, right?
Right.
And Earl Manigault ran them the GOAT. I mean, and they were fantastic. You go watch those games, man, you were like, what? You can't believe human beings are that fast. They could move that fast and pass the ball and see what they're seeing. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Apparently, reading the paper, it's only from the paper, the victim, who was a college standout, and I think he played ball professionally in Europe, he was playing. He's in his 30s, and he got into an argument with somebody. He wasn't a bystander. He got into an argument with somebody, and unfortunately, he got shot in the head. I don't know what the argument is about. It certainly shouldn't. It's not deserving of him losing his life. Yeah, no. I would normally try to put police out in today's precinct environment. I don't know what you could do. This is where now you're going to turn around, and you're going to get the normal people that are off on the weekends. The little precinct details, but I'm saying no, not this weekend. You're working. You're coming in. And they wouldn't be wearing beards and pullover shirts like that mook there. I want you in full uniform, none of these bullshit T-shirt, fucking with the. Nope, you're gonna be wearing your real police uniform. You're gonna be spit shine. You're gonna be out there. You're gonna be active. And I don't know I don't know the size of this thing and how much geography it covers. That's all got to come into effect. But that's what you do if you have to. I don't know. You call a borough. Maybe you can get a little SRG.
A little detail, right? Yeah. Yeah. The other thing is, to me, it's not going to be 1 or 2 cops, right? Depending on the magnitude of it. And, you could also call community affairs and get, people from downtown as well.
There you go. That's right.
Because you want to that's what they're there for, right? It's community. Right. It's also, like you think about it, it's also a good event for interaction with the police officers and people, right? To stand. And listen, Mike, I'm a huge advocate of not having cops in uniform playing basketball. I don't mean for them to be shooting hoops with these guys. No. What they need to do is stand around and make sure and protect everybody. Interact. You can watch
talk to everybody.
Play, give high fives. Do all of that
people.
shit.
That's right.
But don't be shooting hoops and saying, "Oh, I'm one of the guys."
No. So hey, listen, this is a great night. I love basketball. I get to watch you guys. It's great. I'm out here, making sure everybody's good, making sure there's no troubles here. I'm glad to be here. Yeah, that kind of thing. Oh no, it wouldn't be just 2 cops. This is disgraceful because these guys are standing, I think, inside the crime scene tape. They're all laughing. You always had to be very careful of that. We go to a scene and it's a tragedy. And now I haven't seen you in years and years, and I go up and hey, and it has nothing to do with the scene. But you got to be careful because that's a really bad optic. Somebody just died, and the 4 of you sitting there laughing. And I know they're not laughing about that. It could be anything. You have to remember all the pictures of 9/11, right? And these guys were all posing and smiling at the scene of one of the biggest tragedies I've ever seen in my life. What the fuck are you got to smile? I got a picture of me with some guys there. None of it. It was Saturday the 15th, but I was there when the buildings came down. You were there. We're all there. That's there where you were. I haven't been back there since. I won't go back. No. I don't want to go to Memorial. I saw enough of it up close. It was horrible. But smiling? What is this, a fucking game? So I don't. And those guys, somebody should speak to them. Like they're young kids, even though they got full beards, which is disgraceful. And the boss should say, "Look, guys, that really looks bad. I know you weren't laughing at this guy losing his life, because that's horrible. The guy's in his 30s. No. He's probably somebody's dad and stuff, and he had a decent life. He had words with a guy, and the guy shoots him in the head. Like for what? For what are you arguing about? Who won the game, or a foul call? Or I don't think he was from that neighborhood."
We begin tonight in Harlem, where
let's see what they say here on Channel 4. Yeah.
Community is in mourning. Advocates against gun violence are pushing for change after a triple shooting claimed the life of a former college basketball player. News 4's Ida Siegel joins us live in Harlem with more. Ida.
And Rana, the rally that you're speaking of happened on the very basketball court that was lit up with gunfire on Friday night. And this shooting has impacted people from around the world, really, because, as you mentioned, he is a former college basketball star, an international player. And we're talking about 32-year-old Keanu Rocheford. And he was participating in a street basketball tournament that night, Friday night. Police tell us that he was on the sidelines in between games when a dispute escalated and Rocheford was shot in the head and killed. 2 other people were also hit that night, a 28-year-old man shot in the leg and a 22-year-old woman shot in the arm. Again, Rocheford was a star player at Fairleigh Dickinson University. He also played professionally, internationally. Today at this rally, community leaders were really calling on people to get together and also actively end the violence.
To witness what I witnessed, to see the atrocity that took place where our young brother Keanu was taken from us due to senseless violence. Everybody here, if you can hear my voice, you have the influence, the capability to interrupt the transmission of violence.
It is sad, tragic. My heart goes out to the families. We now obviously have an investigation. I want to encourage anyone with information to come forward.
I bet you when you
that
see
last
who,
speaker there.
I bet you when you see who did the shooting, the guy probably been arrested before, and Alvin Bragg let him out.
Yeah, exactly. But they won't look at that. That's not the problem. They look at the violence and stuff.
Well, so, listen, a 32-year-old kid lost his life.
Yeah.
Look at this. Invest in youth. Change your life. Donate today. They're using this to collect money, huh?
Yeah.
They're using this to collect money.
Well, that's the problem. I mean, some of it is crazy. It just goes to, you know,
throwing money at things doesn't, let's watch what the 1.8 billion for doing 1.8 billion. Throwing money at problems doesn't fix it. We've been trying that since the early 60s, and it hasn't worked. It's made it worse. It's made it a lot worse. So
I'll tell you my violence interrupter story. I've said it before. Because ASU was involved and stuff, and they wanted a representative, I went down to 1BP, and at the time it was the chief of department, Carlos Gomez, good guy.
Yeah,
great
close,
guy.
good guy.
Yeah. So we have the violence interrupters come in, and they want to be notified when an incident happens right away. So a shooting, they want to be called. They're going to respond immediately.
How are they going to interrupt? How are they going to interrupt the violence that already happened?
Well, their idea is to interrupt the retaliation, right? So they're gonna try to find the shooter, or and talk to him and say no more violence. They're gonna try to talk to the victim if the victim's still alive and say, it's okay, it's okay. So they go around the whole table and they say, well, we're gonna get notified. Who's gonna call us? You know, all this stuff. So after the meeting, they leave, and Chief Gomez is there. And I go, Chief, do you want, like, if ESU responds to a male shot, do you want us to make a notification to operations or anything so that we can get the violence interrupters? You know what Gomez says? He goes, absolutely not. We're not doing any of this shit. And I was like, 100%. It's fucking pure bullshit. It's
well, because what's the whole thing?
Yeah.
Violence interruption. You can't interrupt it when it already happened. If you go to talk to the shooter, he's most likely going to fucking shoot you.
Yeah.
All right. And how much? And Ron made a great point, because what we see lately, right, with all these federal programs and all this money, all the corruption, you know, all the graft, all the money that's disappearing, right?
Yeah.
How much fucking money is in this stuff that never reached the people it was meant to help? And by the way, throwing money at people doesn't solve a problem. You know what solves a problem? Getting them an education, getting them a job, getting them a feeling of pride in themselves that was taken away from them with the great new society. That
All this,
took away all the
you know,
pride
Mike,
in this community.
all this is a Minnesota daycare. That's all this is.
Yeah.
It's an empty room with money just being funneled to people to do jack shit.
I mean, and let me see. So let's see. So I gotta. Why don't we get these violence interrupters down before the game start, and they could go in the crowd and talk to people, and, you know, make sure nobody interrupted before it happens, not after it happens. This is just another way for people to steal money.
No,
that's all this is.
And like Ron's saying, there's no accountability. There's zero performance indicators, so you don't know what's the success. How do you measure the success? Okay, what that guy didn't go and shoot somebody else again the next day?
No,
What happened 6 months down the road?
No,
what
they went out
a year?
They went out there and they contacted people, and they promised they would never do this again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. I got a solemn oath that this will never happen again. It's pure bullshit.
In the meantime, what about this 36-year-old guy who apparently never bothered anybody in his life, has no criminal history that they know of, and he's fucking dead. And what do you tell his family? Well, you know, we threw a lot of money and they got 1.8 billion for this thing, and you know, we have these violence interrupters and they're going to fix it. My family member is dead. My son, my brother, my father is dead. Too late.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. You know how you prevent that? Proper policing, you know, proper deployment of personnel. Listen, I know for a fact that events like this, community events, get listed, and that sheet goes from the borough up to the chief of patrol, to the chief of department, to the PC's office. That sheet is right out the week before, and there's a deployment of what's going to be there. Okay, that's done through the operations division. Who we're going to put there, what we're going to do there. You see an event like this, the potential for violence, you need to realign and put people there. Okay, stop with these bullshit mobile field forces somewhere else. Put a bunch of cops there. Get your community affairs involved. All right, instead of them, marching around with the fucking protesters, because that's all they do now is march around protest and get them involved in the
Well, you got to get everybody in the game, particularly when you have manpower constraints, which they do. They talk about, well, we got 30,000 cops. I don't believe it, because when I came on, I think there was about 19,000 cops, and we were hurting pretty bad. And then it went up to like 40-something thousand. We were tripping over each other. And then they created all these details. See, nobody's looking at that either. There are units, and they were good units, and they created them, and they served the purpose because we had the manpower to do it. They didn't exist before. So you have all these other units now that are still there. They're not fully staffed, but they're still there. So if I tell you, it feels to me like when I came on and there was 18 or 19,000 cops, it does. Because when you see what's in the precincts, maybe there is 25 to 30,000. Because we're not getting all these other units that didn't exist before. How many guys are in those? That aren't in the street. How many people are running their time? How many people are assigned to the first step? I don't know, had like 19 drivers. Do you think they were all assigned up there, or do you think they were on telephone messages?
Yeah, right.
They didn't exist. On paper, they didn't work there, but in reality, they did. So, you got to get everybody on board. And Tommy will tell you, Tommy worked as a lieutenant for me, and then he was in his squad and everything else. Everybody was on board. If I had overtime to give out for posts, everybody got it. The squad, everybody. I shared with everybody. We incorporated narcotics. Everybody was on the team. You got to make the most of what you got. You can piss and moan all you want. Well, Espo told me one time when I was pissing and moaning, he called me an idiot again. Anybody can do it with the right amount of manpower. The good guys can do it without it, which really pissed me off because that didn't help me.
I mean,
but you have to. It doesn't serve this guy's family, that gentleman, to say, I just didn't have a lot of cops working that night. It hurts. You better serve doing the best that you can. Think out of the box. Do everything you can. And you know what? If you got to pay a little overtime, sometimes you got people that want to put on more time or something like that. If not, you do what you got to do. Make the call. You're the commander. And see how you say it goes up through it does go up through operations eventually, but not details like this normally wouldn't. They'd be
everything. I've seen it, Mike. Everything is listed. Every event, they might, depending on how much of a detail but every event's listed. It's an event listing, and sometimes it's just patrol coverage and stuff like that. But you gotta look at the precinct. You gotta look at the things. I mean, where's the borough commander, right?
I don't think they're assigning. I think it's going up from the commander to the borough to them, like an FYI. This is what we're doing, and they list the details. It really starts with the commander, right? You have to know what's going on in your command, and you have to take an interest in it. Because if you wait for somebody to do it, you got a dead guy.
Yeah.
You got to do it yourself. And you know what? I know precinct commanders that would be coming in on a Friday night, and they'd be going there themselves too with a couple of guys because they just didn't have the coverage.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you grab a couple bosses.
Precinct commander is not a 9-to-5 job. So
well, for some people it's not a job at all. They mail it in. But
yeah.
I did hear rumors. Oh, nice. George Mifsud, good guy. But everybody's in the game. And we used to talk to housing, and I'll cover you, PSA 2 when Kevin Harrington had it, they had 3 pretty busy commands. Kevin, I'll cover, I'll cover the 7-7 tonight. I got the, whatever, we having a problem in the Auburn House. Kevin, I got it. You had to help each other. And then if Kevin had a night, he knew I had shit going on, and he wasn't so busy. Mike, I could send you 4 guys. To do that detail. You help each other. You got to get creative. You can't just sit there.
And you know what? An underused resource now is SRG too, because we used to send guys on details like that also. Used to do directed patrols with aviation flying over, and sometimes even ESU guys would even go on a directed patrol. But these are all things assets that you have to use. Like you said, you got to bring everybody, the whole team together and put assets there. Okay. And as a precinct CO, you should have been aware of that, of what's going on, how many people are going to be there, what kind of crowd you're going to draw.
And he or she may have. I'm not casting dispersions. I don't know. There may have been a detail there, and sometimes, you can't do it all. Sometimes it happens.
I would agree with you if there was an arrest, though. There's no arrest right now.
Well,
so
once
there was a detail there, the hell there should have been an arrest.
Well, once the shots start, what happens a lot of times, if you're there,
everybody
just starts running, and if you're inexperienced, you're grabbing the people out in front that are running. But once you learn, oh no, you're looking for the last people because they're all running from him.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what's going on. But it does get chaotic. It does get hectic. There's a lot of noise in your head and people are screaming. And I don't know how many people were there, but what if there was?
Well, that's what I mean. Depending on the size of the detail,
right?
That would have made the arrest or whatever. But anyway,
you wish. And I'm interested if and when they catch this person. I wonder what his criminal record was, because I'd like to take Alvin Bragg and stick it right up his ass. Right? This is what you did, you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Why don't you go apologize to that guy's family?
Yeah, they don't care. Right. Yeah.
No, they don't.
So we have a video now of the dramatic NYPD body worn footage by.
That guy's got balls.
Two guys. Well, I'm not really happy about this video, Mike. But
got balls.
First of all, Newtown Creek is a super funded, polluted, shitty ass water that you wouldn't wish your worst enemy to go in. But let's look at the body worn camera from the pilot.
You able to make it over here? Are you able to grab onto that?
I think she's pretty much done at this point.
Reverse at the entrance to the
Hope that boy got a penicillin IV for the next few days.
Yeah, exactly.
Guys, is there an easier way up?
She's pretty much done. Do you hear it in her voice? He probably saved her life.
You got pilings right here in front of you?
Gotcha.
I know he got caught.
Come around the port, Joe.
Bandaging his arm. He must have one of the pilings. That's what you need. You need an open wound in that water. Holy shit.
Can you fold that ladder down over there?
I got to give it to him. He's got balls.
Is it? Yeah.
You're okay. You're all right.
Yeah, she's pretty exhausted.
You just fell in, that's it?
I agree. That's a great job. You know what? I know it's that what you said is you're right. That is a toxic waste.
Just take regular breaths, okay?
She was in it, and it got to a point he had to make the call, and he made it. We risk our lives every day. He did it. What was he supposed to do? Just sit there and watch it drown? He couldn't.
No, I mean, I think it is commendable about what he did. Jumped in. But a couple of things. One, he was the pilot of the boat, so he's the only one that's running the boat, right? So
weren't there two of them?
There's two of them. One's a pilot though. One's the actual one that's certified to you could be in harbor.
They're not cross trained.
No, well they eventually all get trained, but sometimes So you have one guy's a pilot on there. He leaves, he jumps in. So that I'm concerned that he might have to move the boat or whatever. The other guy's really not qualified to do it at the point. The other thing is you got to be careful jumping into that water, right? Anytime
what could be underneath that?
Obviously it's toxic, but there's also debris. There could be rebar. There could be cars.
And you can't see shit because it's filthy.
Right. It's not like you're on on Siesta Key Beach in Florida where you could see your feet. You're not seeing your feet there. So you got to be careful of that. Was she looked like she was in distress and probably couldn't hold on much longer? Yeah. And he made a second, a call, a quick call. So yeah, commendable. There's a old saying, throw, row, go. So you know, we've seen other water rescues. I think it was out in the Rockaways where a female just jumped in the water to get a perp, which that was an extremely dangerous job because you don't know if he's armed or anything else. So that was pretty stupid. Who care? I don't care if a perp, you know, goes under the water. But you know what? So you just have to be careful. Okay, try those things first. You know, they shot out the ring buoy.
Yeah, I saw it.
I don't know if she was able to grab onto it. You know, he made that call. So did he save his life? If he could have waited, he should have waited. Okay, for somebody with a scuba outfit, you know, because
Full face mask.
Full face mask. You know, the scuba guys still get ear infections because of the water that goes in those.
Yeah.
So they still get it. And like I said, that's a toxic place. So yes, a good job. I have issues, but
He made a call. He made a call, Rob. Johnny on the spot.
He did it. He made a call, and he did what he had to do.
And I bet you he's probably. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say he's probably senior guy in the boat, where he said, "I got to do this." Like he's not going to ask anyone else. He took control, senior guy.
Yeah, I'm not condemning him. I'm just cautioning other people.
Oh, without
you gotta
doubt.
be, hopefully, and I don't know if he did, but you got to weigh all those things before you jump in because
I think somebody said she fell in the water.
You don't need to rescue two people, right? You know,
No,
you think about
right.
Kenny Hansen, right? Kenny Hansen, God rest his soul, was doing a training issue, and he was a good diver. He fell in, went in the water and drowned. His brother actually recovered his body.
Jesus! Jesus Christ.
So I mean, you got to be cautious, very cautious, because the water there are very very volatile, and that water is extremely toxic. So,
and people don't realize, your body cools off 20 times faster more in water than it does in air. If it's if that water's a little bit cold, you can succumb to hypothermia really quick. I used to scuba dive. You can.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
you get numb pretty quick. So, and I'm not trained like these guys are trained. But listen, all's well that ends well. He made the call. I just hope that he doesn't get some kind of infection. I remember Jimmy Dean. Remember Jimmy Dean was in the issue and his legs blew up?
Yeah, I remember. He was the CO when I was the XO.
Didn't he get some kind of infection and his legs blew up?
He did. He went to the hospital and he ended up getting MRSA.
Yeah.
In the hospital. He almost died. And
Yep.
Fortunately for him, he survived. I remember him telling me that most people in his family, like all the males in his family, never made it past the age of 50 or something, and he was close to that, and he was very concerned.
He almost joined the crew.
Yeah,
and Jimmy, real good guy, Jimmy. Yeah.
He was the original big guy, is from what I remember. So
what's important for the people watching you, Rob? I know what you're doing because you did emergency service. Like you were one of those guys that, these are the guys that you called. These are the guys, anything I can do for you. These are guys who are always happy. The can-do guys. I can't tell you some of the shit they did for me, the things they invented. You're not criticizing that cop. In your head, what you're doing is saying, this could have happened, this could happen. What can we do to prevent something bad happening? What procedure wasn't in place? What else, maybe piece of equipment can I get him? You're not criticizing that guy. He did a great job. He did
100%. He did an excellent job. Could they have gotten a little inflatable raft or something like that and rowed out to her? Maybe, if they had it. They necessarily don't have those.
Listen, when I was talking to Phil Banks, when he first made that, because I was hooked up with a guy that did drones, and I went out to California and saw this incredible demonstration. And you're watching it, and you would do it too, Rob, because of what you did with all your guys, all the different things they did. You're thinking of all the possibilities. Man, this could do this could do this, it could do this. But you need a real program. You don't need drones. Kaz Daughtry just went out and bought some drones. He probably got paid for it.
Yeah, no.
There was no real program. I wanted harbor boats to have this big drone, and it can go out, and it's got FLIR on it, and it could find a body in water at night. It had a capacity to carry 25 pounds. It could actually drop a little raft that, inflates when it hits the water.
Yeah.
And then it sends the coordinates back to the boat, the exact coordinates, and then it goes back to the boat and sits itself down into the big box all on its own, and can be launched up to 35 knots.
Right.
into things.
That's what.
And see, that would have helped. You know, you get them, and the guys and girls that get licensed to pilot these drones. Guess what? They get a little extra money, right, for this extra certification, and that would have helped. I don't know what else he could have done. It looks like he shot the thing out. It appeared to me that she was not doing well.
Distress. Yeah.
He made a call. I got to save her life. I don't have time to wait. Brave son of a bitch, man.
Yeah.
You're
no,
right.
I mean, he did a great job. I just, like I said, and I'm hoping, I don't know him, right? But I'm hoping that everything went through his head and he made, I'm not saying he didn't make the right call.
Now, how
I'm
come?
saying I just hope that all his decision processing, right? They talk about, the OTA loop and everything else, and the planning fee and everything else. I hope he went through everything and decided what, made that call. That, yeah.
Well,
But
a lot of times the OTA loop is it's circumvented by the oh shit loop, and I got to get in there. But let me ask you something. On those boats, because you'll know, aren't there little like inflatable rafts that he could have got in and rode?
I don't remember him having any inflatable boats on the harbor launches. No.
So no such thing like, when you put it in, it hits the water, it makes a little dinghy, and you could.
Not that I remember us having them.
Right.
No,
That
we
might
had
be a thought.
we had one. There was some boats on the inflatable rafts on the top. I forget the name of them, but nothing that inflated automatically. No.
All right. Here's a thought. All the money we spent on, I mean, you saw what that guy did. He still could get sick. You don't know. He did have an open wound on his arm.
Yeah.
God knows what the hell went in there. Like you said, Jimmy Dean got MRSA. And that thing is like a toxic waste dump, that thing. This guy's lucky he doesn't glow in the dark at night now.
Yeah. No. All right. Well, let's head into, I guess, we ask an executive, because that's what we are, executives.
We were once. In a different life, we were, yes.
Ron got crossed out. I think Ron self-crossed himself out, but
and you know what? Spot on for Ron. Ron gets a spot on for that little.
Does he? Yeah, on his birthday.
And another spot on for his birthday. Double spots on for Ron.
I wonder if on his cake it said "Happy Birthday, Ron." Spot on. So
Ron's learning AI. I don't know, Tommy. I'm too old to learn new shit. I got enough stuff going on in my head.
I didn't see any questions in the chat previously, or anything that we didn't.
We bored everybody. They all went to sleep.
That's it. Or we've filled them with so much information that they don't have any questions. So, well, seeing that there's no questions, let's go right to the old. Let's go to. I wanted to go to the coffee and donuts there, Tom. The super chats. We're gonna do some super chats. So I think that's for you from Modern Samurai. $20, Mike. Can give you a spot on.
Thank you, Mr. Modern.
Thank God you gave Ron 2 because you got 1. So it's
Ron's
2 to 1.
It's his birthday. You got to be kind to him.
That's it, exactly. And then Detective Nolan, always helping out. Appreciate you, brother. For Mike Marino, another one coasting today. Better than calling in. Ron, do you need any sunscreen? Ron,
when I go back up north to visit, I'm going to have to see Mr. Nolan. Me and him are going to Wohop. That's what we're going to do. I like that guy.
And of course, G2 Training, George is saying, tell Mike, George Misfit said hello. Yeah. And that you look great, Mike.
Yeah, so, thanks, George. George the best.
Yeah, so Mike, I would just want to thank you for coming and sharing the night with me and filling in for Ron on his 25th birthday for the 3rd time. And thank Tommy Joyce for co-hosting behind the scenes. Tommy, the 10-4 Tavern lives in my eyes. It still works behind the scenes. So you can join us every Wednesday. Ron and I will be back next Wednesday at 17:05 hours, and then this Friday, Eric, John, and Marlon, I think will be on at 08:05 hours. I think there's another roundtable going on. So a lot on this network, over 300,000 subscribers. So make sure you share and like and subscribe. We appreciate everybody in the chat. We appreciate all the comments. And Mike, I'll throw it to you for the closing statements. Again, I appreciate you coming on and helping me out.
It's always a pleasure to be. I like sometimes it makes you feel like you're still hanging with the boys and having your conversations. And I don't know if there's anything that we ever say or do that maybe somebody hears and maybe helps them to fix some of these things, because we all did like what we did. And I think a lot of times we think that I could fix this, we could fix this if they would just let us, but they don't. But it's kind of it's not. It wasn't what it looks like it is now to a lot of these guys and girls, and you see them, they're kind of bitter. Don't be. It's still a great job, and you're still doing good things for people. And forget about the shit that goes on in One Police Plaza, because that don't matter anyway. And that's their own world. Your world is in the street and fixing things, like that guy that jumped in off that boat. Guy's got big balls, man. He saved that woman's life, and he did it at his own peril. So that boy should get a raise.
Absolutely.
He's a hero. He's a hero. So.
All right, very good. Thanks, Mike. Everybody, have a
Talk
good
to you
night.
guys
Be
soon.
safe out there.
Be good. Thanks again, Rob. Anytime. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity, the honor to speak to you guys. And Tommy, thank you so much, Tommy, for helping us out, because I couldn't.
Yeah,
I don't even know what the hell. I don't even know what the hell he does. I couldn't do it. Okay. All right, guys.
All right, everybody.